immediately, infusing some color back into Luo Qingyu's pallid complexion. Time seemed to stand still as her heart raced. Why hadn't he left yet? Even after she had finished taking the medicine, even with her eyes closed, she could sense Qin Lang sitting beside her. Moreover, she felt a warm presence inching closer to her. It was all such precious medicine. She couldn't help but wonder if it had been consumed completely, and a gentle exhalation would ensure everything was secure. Qin Lang shamelessly murmured, then gazed at Luo Qingyu's face, which was flushed either from the effects of the medicine or from bashfulness, and he felt a surge of amusement. He did not take undue advantage of her. Instead, he leaned in and softly blew a breath over her, reminiscent of a dragonfly skimming the water surface. He then lifted Luo Qingyu once more, yanked Ning Qianqian back into her original position with a certain brutality, tucked her in with the blankets, ensuring the corners were neatly folded before turning to leave. Just as Ning Qianqian was about to voice her grievances and reprimand Qin Lang for his unscrupulous behavior, he returned with another blanket, covering her completely, head and all. Satisfied, he clapped his hands and departed. Chapter 266. The little junior sister is actually a bullhead once Qin Lang's footsteps had completely faded outside the courtyard. After a considerable time, Ning Qianqian erupted, flinging the blanket aside in a fit of rage, her teeth clenched, her eyes blazing as she rose to leave the bed. Beside her, Luo Qingyu reached out and grasped her arm, frowning in confusion. "Where are you going?" "To kill Qin Lang." Ning Qianqian's eyes were bloodshot, her arms marred by prominent, purplish veins, nearly bursting with fury. She was truly infuriated, having grown up without parents. She had been cared for by her senior sisters in the sect, especially the eldest sister, who had always been there for her. Even when she quarreled with the newest junior brother, her sisters would side with her. How could she not be enraged after enduring such humiliation at Qin Lang's hands today? The fury was unbearable. Having been kissed by Qin Lang, she could dismiss it, even allowing him to kiss her several times. However, she absolutely could not tolerate such unfair treatment. Why was it that he treated her senior sister with such tenderness and care, yet became so violent upon discovering her impersonation? Even now, she felt a burning pain on her back from a slap that had been delivered with no restraint. It was likely already read. How absurd. Why did you try to kill him? What wrong has he committed? Luo Qingyu frowned, adopting a serious tone befitting a senior sister, reprimanding her. Ning Qianqian looked at her with an unprecedented seriousness, as if regarding a stranger, questioning her existence. "Sister, you weren't like this before. If someone dared to slap me, you would practically want to skin them alive. Yet today, after I've been beaten to this state, you still prevent me from seeking revenge." Luo Qingyu remained earnest. He has just left, and the effects of the drug have yet to wear off. If you see trouble now, won't it plainly inform Qin Lang that we were merely pretending to sleep? Are you implying that you willingly let him kiss you? Ning Qianqian spat several times towards the ground, wiping her mouth. Who had wanted to kiss them? The shameless one took advantage of the darkness. I truly do not understand how someone can be so brazen and lacking in shame. Luo Qingyu's brow furrowed even more tightly. If you hadn't deliberately moved closer, would he have acted that way? It was merely a misunderstanding. What does it have to do with righteousness or propriety? If you had spoken up directly, would he have dared to lay hands on you? You did not react, yet you now criticize others? Ning Qianqian stared at Luo Qingyu in astonishment, as if meeting her for the first time, her heart pounding. Goodness, she thought her enemy was Qin Lang. But it turned out there was a devoted supporter of Qin Lang here too. Whatever she said about Qin Lang would be countered. Ultimately, any comparison between her and Qin Lang meant she was at fault. So, Qin Lang was always right, and she was always wrong? Sister, I feel your words make sense. You have enlightened me. I admire you. Ning Qianqian calmed down, then teasingly remarked, the more you say this, the more I feel that Qin Lang doesn't deserve you at all. You are a true phoenix from the heavens, while Qin Lang is merely a privileged heir. Compared to you, he is nothing but a bumpkin. You don't want to marry Qin Lang, do you? Yes, I completely agree with your sentiment. I wholeheartedly support this decision. I have a plan to help you resolve your current difficulties. For instance, I could take you back to our sect, where the junior disciple who admires you the most will take care of you, while I return to the Luo family, disguising myself as you. Although my disguise skills are not exceptional, Qin Lang has only met you a few times, right? Furthermore, our figures are somewhat similar, so he likely wouldn't recognize me. At that time, I shall assume your identity and fulfill the marriage contract on your behalf. Luo Qingyu's beautiful eyes widened in disbelief. What are you imagining? Aren't you intent on killing Qin Lang? Indeed, I do wish to eliminate him. Who could tolerate his abhorrent behavior towards me just now? Ning Qianqian clenched her fists. Yet when I disguise myself as you, he shall not treat me with the same disdain. Moreover, Qin Lang possesses both looks and a prestigious background. He is unworthy of you, yet he would find me more than suitable. Woon Tihi. Furthermore, in this world, I have encountered numerous duplicitous men, many of whom are merely skilled in empty rhetoric, ready to flee at the slightest challenge. Where have you ever met a fool like Qin Lang, who, even when enchanted by you, would sacrifice his own blood to save another? I pondered deeply, feeling somewhat wronged, and thought perhaps I should assist you, my esteemed senior. The truth within her words was ambiguous, leaving even Luo Qingyu uncertain of how much of what her junior sister said was genuine. However, a nagging doubt crept into her mind, given her junior's whimsical nature. It was entirely possible she might actually undertake such a venture, setting aside her reluctance for her junior brother Chun Fan to care for her. The mere thought of her junior sister disguising herself as her was unacceptable. If you truly transform into my likeness, will you not be compelled to wear a mask for the rest of your life? You are you, and I am I. Must you sacrifice your own happiness for such trivial matters? Do you not perceive the discomfort and injustice in being with Qin Lang while resembling me? Even if you were with him, the image in his mind would always be of me. Luo Qingyu spoke earnestly. Ning Qianqian shrugged. I do not mind, for your happiness. I would willingly bear it all. Moreover, the grievances you mention are merely for ordinary individuals. Sister, are you aware of a certain creature? They are called minotaurs. Luo Qingyu, perplexed, shook her head in confusion. Ning Qianqian, ever understanding, elaborated. They are the ones who, when faced with the grievances you describe, feel joy, excitement, and exhilaration, commonly referred to as minotaur ecstasy. It is late. We should rest. I sense the effects of the medicine taking hold within me. Luo Qingyu closed her mouth, refraining from further discussion. She feared that continuing to persuade would uncover even more of her junior sister's hidden secrets. Upon hearing these secrets, Luo Qingyu's first reaction was one of horror, a chill spreading down her spine. Her junior sister was truly fearless, unrestrained by any norms. Sister, and I'm not jesting. I speak sincerely. If you genuinely dislike Qin Lang, why not annul the engagement? Then you can tell Qin Lang that it was I who saved his grandfather last time. Ning Qianqian nestled into the blankets beside Luo Qingyu, coaxing her gently. Chapter 267, Teaching the Little Medical Sage. The matter of engagement is not to be taken lightly, Luo Qingyu retorted, rolling her eyes in exasperation. In the past, she had no intention of fulfilling her engagement with Qin Lang, even though she had received a precious gift. A millennium-old Tian Shan snow lotus, a miraculous herb for healing. Her thoughts revolved solely around expressing her gratitude. However, after tonight, her mind had undergone a profound transformation. Ning Qianqian opened her mouth, wishing to articulate her feelings, but upon seeing her senior sister's serious expression, she found herself at a loss for words. She had always believed that her senior sister and Qin Lang were utterly incompatible. After all, her senior sister's demeanor was such that she disregarded even the most earnest gestures from their junior brother. How could she possibly overlook years of affection? Yet, in less than half a month of knowing Qin Lang, her tone had completely shifted. I'm going to bed. Ning Qianqian sulked, wrapping herself in her blanket, turning away from Luo Qingyu, closing her eyes, not quite sure who she was angry with. The following morning dawned. The sun ascended in the east, bathing the sky in hues of dawn. Outside the small courtyard, a willow tree planted by the artificial pond displayed vibrant green leaves, with dewdrops glistening as they slid down the intricate veins of the leaves. They danced in the air, catching the first rays of sunlight, shimmering like stars in the night sky, yet fleeting, falling to the ground. Miss Ning, good morning. Qin Lang arrived early, entering the courtyard and greeting Ning Qianqian, who was busy brewing herbal medicine. Ning Qianqian glanced back, noting Qin Lang's increasingly pale complexion, which ignited her ire. Why was there such a disparity in treatment among people? For the sake of her senior sister, Qin Lang disregarded his own deteriorating health, willingly drawing blood to aid her recovery, even as his own condition worsened. Yet when it came to her, a minor misstep in consuming a potion nearly resulted in a chaotic scene, as if she were being upended like a willow tree by Lu Jishan, with all the concoction nearly spilling out. What do you mean, good morning? The sun is already high. Ning Qianqian complained, her gestures animated as she vented her frustrations, nearly pointing an accusatory finger at Qin Lang. In her hand, she held a fan, and in a moment of carelessness, She nearly toppled the pot of herbal medicine simmering on the small stove. Just as disaster loomed, Qin Lang swiftly stepped forward, pulling Ning Qianqian back while reaching out to secure the precarious pot, stabilizing it with his own hands. A hissing sound erupted as white mist rose from the point of contact between Qin Lang's palm and the pot. Ning Qianqian's beautiful eyes widened in alarm as she turned towards the bedroom, calling out without looking back, "Stay right there. I'll get you some burn ointment." She hurriedly returned, the sounds of Luo Qingyu's inquiries echoing from the bedroom, but she paid no heed. Ripping open a soothing ointment, she urged Qin Lang, "Extend your hand." Qin Lang shook his head, declining, "It's really nothing, just a minor issue." Ning Qianqian frowned, scolding him. "How can this possibly be a minor issue? In my childhood, I cannot count the times I was scalded by that medicinal jar. Each instance elicited cries of pain. Were it not for the specially formulated burn ointment, my palms and the backs of my hands would be marred by countless burn scars. Are you not endowed with common sense? What compels you to grasp something so searing? Medicine can be brewed anew, but when injuries occur, it is too late for regrets." Qin Lang, with a foolish grin, scratched the back of his head, embodying the demeanor of an earnest individual. "Did it not seem evident that you were about to burn yourself? One misstep, and one's wit can falter." Ning Qianqian was quite moved by this remark. Despite her scolding, she received no retort, but rather protection. Yet, before she could sustain this sentiment, Qin Lang interrupted her delightful reverie, reminding her that the medicine was intended for Miss Luo, and spilling it would result in dire consequences. "Extend your hand." Ning Qianqian's expression grew cold as she forcibly grasped Qin Lang's wrist, abandoning her previous hesitance. She sought to momentarily control him with her own strength, intending to apply a medicinal plaster. However, an unexpected turn of events unfolded, as her agility proved insufficient to approach Qin Lang. "Are you not an ordinary person?" Ning Qianqian exclaimed in astonishment, the corners of her mouth lifting slightly. A sense of confusion filled her mind, as the notion that the Tian Shan Snow Lotus was personally harvested by Qin Lang seemed absurd, difficult to believe. Seizing the opportunity, she decided to test him. In a flash, she left a mirage in her wake, swiftly advancing towards Qin Lang, her hands darting out to grasp either his wrist or his neck. If one attempt failed, she would make two, then three. Undeterred, her determination only intensified. "Good heavens, you conceal your abilities well. This speed of movement is beyond my immediate control," she exclaimed. "Pray tell, what scheme are you concocting?" The esteemed heir of the Qin family in Yanjing, rather than indulging in the luxuries of youth, is secretly dedicating himself to rigorous training. Whom do you intend to deceive? Ning Qianqian was taken aback, particularly at her level of strength, for she understood how lengthy and agonizing the training of youth could be, a trial not meant for the faint-hearted. She had no choice but to obey her master, unlike Qin Lang, who was a privileged scion, the future heir of a prominent family in Longhua. His choice to forego the indulgences provided by his family in favor of arduous practice was indeed surprising. "I have always harbored a fear of death. With so many people keeping an eye on me, it is only natural to possess some self-defense skills. Although you have uncovered my secret, I still hope you will refrain from spreading it." Qin Lang evaded her attempts lightly, not employing even 80% of his strength. Ning Qianqian's physical prowess was likely around 350, a stark contrast to his 500, rendering her no match for him. With certain excuses at hand, he easily found justifications. "Do not be so aggressive, otherwise I may have to retaliate." Qin Lang continued to retreat while issuing veiled threats. Ning Qianqian was amused, questioning, "So, are you still indulging me at this point? If you wish to strike, then do so. I am curious to see just how confident you truly are. You have brought this upon yourself." Qin Lang's retreat slowed. As one foot firmly planted, he paused momentarily before unleashing his fists like a dragon emerging from the sea, aiming directly at Ning Qianqian's chest. The force was terrifying, as if intending to obliterate her. "Tiger Fist!" Qin Lang roared, shifting the tide of battle, advancing rather than retreating towards Ning Qianqian. Startled, she felt an immense pressure emanating from him, and instinctively raised her arms to shield her chest. However, the anticipated Tiger Fist merely carried an intimidating aura and did not connect with her arms at all. Instead, a swift kick followed, seamlessly transitioning from a sweeping motion to a thrust, striking just below her abdomen. With a resounding thud, Ning Qianqian lost her balance, arms flailing as she fell to the ground, resembling a frog croaking in a pond, her posture far from elegant. Only the slight upward shift of her skirt and the sight of her smooth, pale thighs exposed to the air provided any semblance of allure. Otherwise, Qin Lang would have preferred not to witness such an undignified position. Chapter 268. Pretending with me? You're too naive. How despicable. Ning Qianqian groaned in pain, nearly rolling on the ground, kneeling with her hands clutching her abdomen, lamenting, I have never endured such humiliation in my life. Wasn't it supposed to be the tiger fist? Why did it suddenly turn into a low blow? You are utterly shameless. Ning Qianqian felt she had never encountered such a brazen male, resorting to deceit in a fight with a girl. It was indeed quite despicable. Are you all right? Qin Lang approached, adjusting the hem of her skirt, mindful of the situation. As he was still a male, the azure fabric accentuated the fairness and smoothness of Ning Qianqian's long legs, now kneeling on the ground. Of course, given the circumstances, especially with her simmering anger, he refrained from taking advantage, knowing it would only aggravate her further. What does it matter? I'm in excruciating pain. Ning Qianqian gritted her teeth, cold sweat dripping from her forehead. The pain was genuine. Qin Lang sighed, shaking his head. I truly apologize. My fighting style has always been lethal. I inadvertently unleashed the tiger fist earlier, but thankfully I pulled back in time, redirecting the force into the kick. Otherwise, had that punch landed, your arms might have been broken, and perhaps even your chest would have caved in. Ning Qianqian grimaced, you seem innocent. Yet you're quite the scoundrel. I wouldn't trust you for a moment. You claim you could break my bones with a single blow. Why not assert you could pierce through steel instead? You might as well be akin to a sniper bullet. Qin Lang shook his head and walked to the edge of the courtyard, facing a wall, and calmly unleashed a punch. The impact echoed loudly. The entire courtyard trembled as the wall, struck by Qin Lang, was pierced through, revealing a gaping hole the size of a human head, exposing red bricks and grayish-white concrete beneath. Ning Qianqian stood in stunned silence, contrasting Qin Lang, who appeared unscathed except for a light layer of ash, prompting a twitch at the corner of her mouth. The force of that tiger fist was astounding, inflicting 1,000 points of damage while sustaining none. Had that blow landed upon her, she might have truly lost both hands. Glancing down at her chest, she shuddered at the thought of a potential injury. How could she face others if she were to be so disfigured? In truth, her hands were unharmed. Her prolonged training had rendered her resilient to both heat and cold. Touching a red-hot iron for even a brief moment posed little threat to her. Qin Lang extended his palm, as pure as jade, and expressed his gratitude for her specially formulated burn ointment, albeit stating it was unnecessary. He crouched beside her, concern etched on his face. Are you all right? You appear to be in pain. Do you need any herbs for a remedy? I can help gather them. No, she replied with an air of haughty indifference. Her delicate chin raised. This minor injury poses no significant issue for me. If not for your unexpected assault, I would not have fallen prey to your sneak attack. She added, of course, I bear you no ill will. Had her tiger fist truly struck me, though my bones might remain intact, the outcome would not have been pleasant. Her response was calm and collected, devoid of any tremor, save for the slight twitch of her lips and the hands pressed against her abdomen, which might have convinced Qin Lang otherwise. That's a relief, Qin Lang remarked, seemingly exhaling in relief. Yet, inwardly he scoffed. Given Ning Qianqian's quirky nature and penchant for mischief, she could put on airs with others, but with him, not a chance. I shall enter first. Please bring me the medicine. Suppressing her discomfort, Ning Qianqian swallowed a couple of pills and bent over, resembling an elderly woman, but realizing Qin Lang stood behind her. She straightened her posture despite the pain in her abdomen, unwilling to show weakness. Yet, the disparity between her ideals and reality was stark. The agony remained. She was simply more obstinate. Consequently, her stance became increasingly awkward, reminiscent of those girls in online videos with protruding chests and tilted pelvises. Quite alluring indeed. Qianqian, what on earth are you doing? Luo Qingyu observed as Ning Qianqian entered, momentarily taken aback. Ning Qianqian retorted defiantly. I tested Qin Lang's capabilities and found them commendable. He nearly matches me. You have a footprint on your dress, Luo Qingyu remarked bluntly, pointing to the green dress of Ning Qianqian, where a shoe print, covered in dust, rested just below her abdomen. It was Miss Ning who allowed it. A victory lacking due merit, Qin Lang entered, holding a ceramic bowl with a warm smile gracing his features. His affinity skill activated, enhancing their collective goodwill to a perfect 100, feeling an overwhelming sense of guilt. Luo Qingyu's heart sank further upon witnessing Qin Lang's increasingly pallid complexion. The confirmation from her junior disciple made it evident that Qin Lang had concealed his true strength. The millennium-old Tianshan Snow Lotus must have been personally harvested by him, a perilous endeavor indeed. Furthermore, the blood-tainted potion he had brought last night was undoubtedly concocted from his own blood. All of this was for her. The once vibrant heir of the Qin family had, in less than 10 days, transformed into such a wan figure. What merit did she, Luo Qingyu, possess to deserve such profound kindness? Chapter 269, Sister's Farewell. Sisters, how at least you know how to speak. I shan't hold this minor matter against you. Just remember, if you ever compete with a girl again, do take it easy. That is, if it were me, Ning Qianqian, but with an ordinary girl, your kick could very well be fatal. Ning Qianqian huffed, feeling quite pleased with Qin Lang's humility. Yet, an unusual sentiment began to stir within her. It was impossible not to consider the disparity in strength at her level. Just as a billionaire's daughter would not willingly pursue a destitute beggar, the chasm in capability was glaringly apparent. Financial status was one thing, but if her partner lacked physical resilience, would she not find herself enduring a protracted widowhood? Upon realizing that Qin Lang had been concealing his abilities, Ning Qianqian felt as though he was tailor-made for her. He possessed striking looks and surpassed her in strength. Indeed, he was even comparable to her junior disciple. No, that was incorrect. Qin Lang was, without a doubt, superior to her junior disciple. Were it not for the presence of her elder sister, she might have made her move already. I'll be more cautious in the future. Qin Lang chuckled awkwardly, then turned his attention to the delicate Luo Qingyu lying on the bed, his expression imbued with concern. How do you feel now? Is there any improvement? His eyes glimmered with hope. Luo Qingyu pursed her lips, her beautiful eyes shimmering with uncertainty as she shook her head. Honestly, I felt quite well earlier today. The speed of my recovery was accelerating. But inexplicably, by morning, it seemed my injuries had worsened. I sensed that the Een malice within me is coalescing, as if on the verge of eruption. She was perplexed. She had consumed the special potion crafted from Qin Lang's blood the previous night, and the medicinal effects should have been taking hold. Yet by morning, everything had changed, as though the Een malice had turned against her, retaliating in kind. How could this be? It was impossible. Panic washed over Qin Lang as he looked to Ning Qianqian. Didn't you say that the Tianshan Snow Lotus combined with the blood of a pure young body would ensure recovery? Why is this happening? His voice carried an edge of accusation. In the room, Qin Lang's tone bore a hint of inquiry. At times, what appeared to be an inadvertent slip of the tongue went unnoticed by all. Ning Qianqian stammered, I don't know either. The elder sister didn't mention any changes in her condition. Let me take a look. She hurriedly seated herself at the edge of the bed, her hand gently resting upon Luo Qingyu's fair, delicate wrist. Her furrowed brow tightened increasingly, beads of perspiration forming densely upon her forehead. With a deep exhale, Ning Qianqian lamented, Senior sister, why have you not informed me of the changes in your condition? What is happening? How could so much malevolent energy accumulate within you in such a brief span? It is on the brink of coalescing, poised to erupt. Luo Qingyu's expression bore a bitter sweetness, a pang of distress evident in her heart. I have troubled you all too much regarding my own body. You have done everything within your power to assist me. I have even consumed a Tianshan Snow Lotus. If there is no further effect, shall I then resort to a second one? I shall leave it to fate. I have come to terms with it, and I shall let it go. Luo Qingyu seemed to have adopted a nonchalant attitude, yet in her occasionally glancing at Qin Lang, her beautiful eyes reflected a hint of guilt and reluctance. How absurd! You cannot simply give up. Qin Lang retorted sternly, his voice raised. As long as your ailment persists, you remain my fiancée. You wish to abandon treatment? Dream on. For my woman, I will exhaust every means to ensure her survival. He was resolute, his will unyielding. With a sharp crack, he smashed a porcelain bowl, the jagged edge slicing into his palm, blood trickling down as he approached Luo Qingyu and grasped her chin, directing her gaze to the corner of her mouth where crimson droplets fell. What are you doing? Have you lost your mind? Look at your pallid complexion. If you continue to bleed, you shall endanger yourself. Ning Qianqian tugged at Qin Lang's arm, attempting to dissuade him. Yet, Qin Lang remained undeterred, pushing her away with a cold countenance. This is my affair. It does not concern you. I shall determine my fate. He felt a sense of confusion. Logically, Luo Qingyu's health should have improved after consuming an entire millennium-old Tianshan Snow Lotus. Could it be that she truly lacked pure yang energy? If so, drawing a little blood might suffice. As long as Luo Qingyu could recover, everything would be well. Moreover, he He had previously been somewhat stingy. Had he not sensed her indifference towards him? What if drawing blood yielded no results? That would be a tremendous loss. He could never engage in a losing venture. However, things had changed. Ever since entering the room, the glances Luo Qingyu cast upon him conveyed strands of affection, clearly indicating that he had left an indelible impression upon her heart. In the original narrative, Luo Qingyu was portrayed as an exceedingly aloof and stunning beauty, indifferent to all, especially regarding romantic entanglements. Her current actions suggested that she had already acknowledged his presence in her heart. Luo Qingyu becoming his woman was an undeniable reality. What more was there to deliberate? Was it merely a matter of a small incision, a mere loss of blood? It could easily be replenished. Was there a problem with this? There was none. Even so, Qin Lang perceived this unexpected incident as a fortuitous opportunity, a serendipitous subplot that could deepen Luo Qingyu's feelings for him. The room was suffused with a faint metallic scent of blood. Luo Qingyu's chin was firmly grasped, rendering her unable to escape. Her face flushed, and in her beautiful eyes there lingered unshed tears, which she stifled before they could cascade down. No longer struggling, she leaned forward slightly and pressed her lips against the palm of Qin Lang's hand, staunching the wound inflicted by the sharp edge of a ceramic bowl. After a gentle press, she withdrew, exclaiming, "That's enough. It's sufficient. Qianqian, hurry and help him stop the bleeding. Quickly. Coming. Ning Qianqian observed the scene with a mix of frustration and helplessness. Her senior sister's urgency made her feel as if she were being treated like a maidservant. It was quite distressing. If the situation continued to escalate, one could only speculate that Qin Lang might soon become her brother-in-law. The thought stirred a wave of discomfort within her. "Calm down, don't move. Are you out of your mind?" Ning Qianqian scolded while supporting the wavering Qin Lang. Her concern evident. "Are you even aware of your own physical condition? You're already low on blood, yet you recklessly inflicted such a wound. You've turned a matter of one life into two. If something truly happened to you, wouldn't the Luo family be thrown into chaos?" With diligence, she sprinkled antiseptic powder onto the wound in Qin Lang's palm, retrieved a clean white gauze from the medicine box, and expertly wrapped it, leaving a thoughtful bow at the end. Her voice turned earnest as she implored him, "If anything were to happen to your sister, neither of us would be at peace. I know how much you value this engagement, but you cannot disregard your own well-being." She added, "Even if your sister were to face a crisis, you still have me by your side, right?" Chapter 270. The later stages of the 7 mainline subplots. Wow. Goodness. Even Qin Lang, upon hearing these words, felt a twinge of surprise. Though he contemplated the situation inwardly, he refrained from voicing his thoughts, knowing full well that Luo Qingyu could not truly be in peril. It was merely a minor mishap that had led to the current predicament. However, Ning Qianqian's frankness genuinely astonished him. "Your sister has passed away, and your junior sister laments and wails? Laughs? That is utterly ridiculous." He coughed lightly. "Please don't misunderstand. That is not what I meant. I'm aware of the gravity of your situation and can see that it weighs heavily on your heart, but we cannot afford to remain stagnant. We share a common plight, and if you're feeling distressed, we can certainly support one another." Ning Qianqian sensed a chilling gaze piercing her from behind, causing her to feel a shiver run down her spine as she attempted to justify herself. Only then did she muster the courage to turn and face her senior sister, whose expression was darkened by displeasure. With a silly grin, she said, "Sister, you wouldn't want to see Qin Lang suffering for your sake, would you? I'm merely trying to alleviate your burdens." Luo Qingyu remained silent, fixated on her. Ning Qianqian swallowed hard. "Sister, could you please stop glaring at me? It's rather frightening. Although you're injured and cannot overpower me, for some reason, I still feel quite intimidated. I misspoke, didn't I? It's not as if I took advantage of your critical condition to steal your man. I was merely offering guidance to Qin Lang. If they were to develop feelings for one another in the future, it would be an unavoidable circumstance, wouldn't it? At worst, I could always tell the child that they have an aunt named Luo Qingyu." Luo Qingyu felt a surge of pent-up frustration brewing in her chest, gradually coalescing into something tangible. The little junior sister before her was chattering away, already contemplating her future with Qin Lang, devising plans and arrangements. For some inexplicable reason, this frustration intensified. She felt an overwhelming urge to slap the little junior sister, and the oppressive sensation in her chest grew even more acute. Ning Qianqian continued to speak, but suddenly she felt a slight disturbance in her chest, as if she were struggling to breathe. Her body began to tremble slightly, her complexion paling further. Eventually, she convulsed and coughed up a mouthful of fresh blood, carelessly spraying it onto Ning Qianqian's face, enveloping her in a mist of crimson. Senior sister, please don't be angry. I'll stop talking, is that all right? Ning Qianqian frantically wiped the blood mist from her face, only to discover that it had crystallized into tiny blood ice crystals, formed in a short span of time. The blood mist that had splattered onto her face began to crystallize as well, cascading down without leaving a trace. Is this the aura of Insha? Ning Qianqian was filled with inexplicable dread as she quickly reached out to check her senior sister's pulse. Her brow relaxed with joy as she realized, wonderful. Senior sister, a significant portion of the Insha energy in your body has been expelled. The remaining traces are hardly substantial. With the help of the Tianshan Snow Lotus and my medical skills, you could be healed in no time. It appears that the earlier concentration of Insha energy within you wasn't entirely detrimental. Rather, it was driven to coalesce by the Tianshan Snow Lotus and the pure Yang energy, facilitating its expulsion from your body. Of course, I must credit my tactic of provoking you. Otherwise, you might have endured much longer suffering. Cough, cough. Ning Qianqian goket lichtly, feeling somewhat embarrassed as she took credit for the outcome. Don't flatter yourself. I have no intention of exposing your little schemes. Had I perceived it sooner, I would have known that the concentration of Insha energy was a fortuitous sign. This was the first time Luo Qingyu had openly refuted her little junior sister so vehemently. She had truly been quite vexed earlier. Fortunately, it had ended without serious incident. Otherwise, she might have truly become the child's aunt. Senior sister, could you refrain from undermining me? There are others present. Ning Qianqian stamped her foot in desperation. I'm a little medical sage, after all. Your words make me seem unrefined and diminish my dignity. Moreover, your enemies are not of this earth. How could I possibly know the specific methods to treat this Insha energy? Some words slipped out before she realized it. Immediately, Ning Qianqian clamped her mouth shut, blinking her large eyes at Qin Lang, feeling a bit anxious. Qin Lang furrowed his brows, feigning ignorance while grasping the truth. What could it mean? The adversary was not of this earth. Where else could they possibly be from? Perhaps a reclusive sage hidden deep within the mountains, almost entirely estranged from the mundane world. Ning Qianqian was desperately attempting to fabricate a lie to cover herself. Yet, Qin Lang remained skeptical, still frowning in disbelief. Ning Qianqian, however, soon recognized her mistake and chose to remain silent about it. It was Luo Qingyu who slowly began to elucidate the matter, explaining that there existed phenomena in this world that science could not yet elucidate, such as certain peculiar supernatural occurrences and spatial tunnels leading directly to otherworldly dimensions. Senior sister, you? Ning Qianqian could hardly fathom that these words were uttered by her mentor. She was acutely aware that in the past, even the slightest slip of the tongue could invoke her senior sister's stern reprimand. If outsiders were to learn of such secrets, it could result in dire consequences. Today, however, the senior sister, who had always held this secret in utmost regard, was openly divulging these matters to Qin Lang. It's nothing, Luo Qingyu replied calmly, turning her gaze toward Qin Lang, her tone softening as she continued. In truth, my injuries were inflicted by a being from that otherworldly realm. Our understanding of that world is limited, making it challenging to devise an appropriate treatment plan. An otherworldly dimension. Qin Lang felt as though he were deciphering an ancient script, his eyes brimming with confusion. Indeed, it is a wondrous realm where the means of strength enhancement for its inhabitants diverges completely from our traditional martial arts system in Huaxia. Luo Qingyu elaborated further, sharing her knowledge without reservation. Qin Lang nodded intermittently, signaling his comprehension. Yet, deep within, he was acutely aware of the truth. This otherworldly realm was, after all, the main storyline of the later chapters involving his 7 sisters. How could he possibly be oblivious to it? For now, however, he lacked the strength and influence to engage, biding his time until the opportune moment arrived. When that time came, he would certainly venture into that otherworldly domain, whether it be to confront the formidable demon clan that had wounded Luo Qingyu, the ecstatic beastmen that delighted Fu Rue, or the enchanting queen of the elven race. As long as they could provide him with sufficient destiny villain points, be they tree spirits with alluring forms or a devoted maid with azure bangs obscuring one eye, he would endure and persevere. Chapter 271. A farewell kiss. Senior sister, you've divulged all our sect's secrets. Ning Qianqian murmured, interrupting Luo Qingyu, who had been speaking so openly. And you're only his fiancé, Yi. Is it truly necessary to reveal everything? Luo Qingyu shot a glance at her younger disciple. Pausing her discourse, turning her gaze back to Qin Lang, she spoke with gentle sincerity. Essentially, that otherworldly dimension remains shrouded in mystery to me as well. It is filled with both opportunities and dangers. Unless absolutely necessary, it is best to avoid such entanglements. I merely listened with amusement, feeling as though I were caught in a dream. I never anticipated that beyond our earthly realm, such a place could exist. Qin Lang appeared dazed, shaking his head with an awkward smile, before adopting a serious and concerned expression as he inquired, having expelled that malevolent aura, "How do you feel now?" Luo Qingyu took a moment to center herself, attuning to her body's condition. After a considerable pause, she spoke softly. "Thanks to the Tian Shan snow lotus you brought and the blood of the pure yang body, I am much improved. The remaining malevolent energy will soon be dispelled, aided by my junior sister's care and my own physical resilience. There is no cause for alarm. That is a relief. It has been quite some time since I arrived here, and I have other matters to attend to. Since Miss Luo is in good health, I shall take my leave for now." During her time of distress, Qin Lang remained by Luo Qingyu's side in Tianyu City, meeting her every need without hesitation and offering his assistance willingly. Once it was confirmed that she was well, he did not linger to further cultivate their relationship, but rather prepared to depart promptly. For someone as composed and aloof as Luo Qingyu, constant proximity would only serve to diminish her regard for him, potentially leading her to misconstrue his intentions. Thus, a graceful exit seemed more fitting. Luo Qingyu pondered quietly, occasionally glancing at Qin Lang. Yet she refrained from uttering any words of entreaty. Unsure of how to persuade him to stay, she simply voiced her concern, "Take care." However, Ning Qianqian was not pleased. "What? You're leaving already? We've barely begun. I can't guarantee that the malevolent energy is entirely resolved. The substantial amount expelled today could very well be due to your blood feeding. Who knows if there will be further issues later." She deliberately complicated the matter of her senior sister's condition. With Qin Lang gone, to whom could she turn to foster a connection? Their story had barely begun, yet it seemed to be concluding by the time they next met. Who could say that Qin Lang might not already be her brother-in-law? How could she possibly compete with her senior sister then? Rest assured, should any problems arise, contact me immediately. After exchanging a few words, Qin Lang turned and left with nonchalance. In the room, only Luo Qingyu and Ning Qianqian remained, the atmosphere thick with unspoken words. Ning Qianqian broke the silence first. "Senior sister, I believe Qin Lang is quite an admirable fellow, loyal and honorable, with a formidable background and strength to match. You two would make a fine pair. Why not assist us in bringing the two of us together?" Luo Qingyu, taken aback, replied, "Bring us together? Qin Lang is my fiancé. Am I to introduce my fiancé to you?" Ning Qianqian waved her hand dismissively. "Senior sister, you know me well enough. Your family's arranged engagement. Given your yearning for freedom and a carefree spirit, how could you possibly take it seriously? Did you not explicitly state before that you would not consent to this engagement? You even mentioned wanting to silently protect him for life, to repay his kindness." Seizing the last flicker of possibility, Ning Qianqian resorted to unscrupulous tactics. The senior sister, known for her unwavering commitment to her words, could only use this pretext to suppress the emotions surging within her. After all, despite her long-standing discord with the junior brother, he remained her junior brother. The junior brother held such affection for the senior sister. How could she allow him to lose her to Qin Lang right under his nose? Let her sacrifice herself to fulfill the bond between the senior sister and the junior brother. Luo Qingyu cleared her throat, appearing somewhat conflicted. "Did I ever say such things?" After a brief pause, she regained her composure. "When did I ever utter those words?" Ning Qianqian opened her mouth, intending to retort, but found herself at a loss for words. Absurd. Completely absurd. The typically aloof senior sister was shamelessly lying for the sake of Qin Lang, denying her own previous statements. What could she do? She was utterly at her wit's end. In the late hours of the night, outside the small courtyard, a gentle breeze stirred, casting dancing shadows from the trees. Inside, as Luo Qingyu perused her books, she found it impossible to calm her mind. Images of Qin Lang's voice and smiling visage frequently intruded her thoughts. How could this be? In an instant, she felt an unprecedented haze envelop her. Could it truly be that she had developed feelings for Qin Lang after such a brief interaction? It was utterly inconceivable. After over a decade of companionship with her junior brother, she had never experienced such emotions. Yet in just half a month, Qin Lang had etched such a profound impression in her mind. Frustrated by her own thoughts, Luo Qingyu decided to cease her ruminations. She closed her book, placed it at her bedside, tucked herself under the covers, and lay in the darkness, staring at the ceiling. It was only when she heard the faint sound of approaching footsteps that she finally closed her eyes. Unbeknownst to her, the moment she heard the unfamiliar footsteps, a slight smile graced her lips. Just like the previous night, a subtle fragrance wafted in from outside the door, and after a considerable time, the lock was finally picked. A figure slowly approached, causing Luo Qingyu to feel a flutter of nerves, her thoughts swirling chaotically like a muddled mess. After being administered a small vial of a special potion, she felt a warm sensation enveloping her, and soon recognized the familiar warmth drawing nearer. This time, it was no fleeting brush. Qin Lang had grown more insatiable, savoring the moment with meticulous care, even tenderly caressing her temples and earlobes with his fingers. After what felt like an eternity of entanglement, he gradually withdrew. The sensation was intoxicating, and Luo Qingyu found herself reluctant to let go. As the footsteps receded, a light, airy voice floated in from outside. Tonight, it's merely an ordinary fragrance. Lu Qingyu abruptly awakened in bed, her fingers brushing against her still damp lips, as a vibrant blush reminiscent of evening clouds adorned her typically serene and exquisite visage. What a disaster! She had been ensnared in confusion. Tonight, her junior sister was not by her side, nor was there an antidote. How could she possibly remain unaffected by the aphrodisiac? It turned out to be merely a common fragrance. Furthermore, Qin Lang had seen through her ruse of feigning sleep alongside her junior sister from the previous night. Surely, her junior sister's peculiar reactions had alerted Qin Lang. It was highly plausible that his deliberate actions last night were intended to confirm this suspicion. Otherwise, why would he have so fervently disturbed her junior sister? Perhaps he harbored resentment, feeling deceived and having chosen the wrong ally. Lu Qingyu, realizing the implications, swiftly clarified her thoughts, her heart swelling with embarrassment. Why had she failed to notice these anomalies sooner? She had not even discerned the distinction between a fragrance and an aphrodisiac. What was happening? This blunder felt utterly foreign to her, as if her intelligence had plummeted to an unfathomable low. Now, the very thought of Qin Lang occupied her mind throughout the night, leaving her restless due to his words. Countless explanations formed in her mind as she anticipated the morning meeting, hoping to clarify this unique and ambiguous awkwardness. Yet, would Qin Lang grant her that opportunity? How could he let this delightful misunderstanding linger on? The following morning, Qin Lang returned to Tianhai City in a Maybach, curiously lowering his window and inhaling a cigarette, exhaling clouds of smoke. The stunningly aloof senior sister? What of it? If he could not win her heart through either himself or others, he would resort to subtle stratagems, compelling Lu Qingyu to pursue him. Did he truly believe that his words from last night were mere casual remarks? They were a pivotal stroke, a potent elixir. Half a month's interactions paled in comparison to the weight of that single utterance. After all, that statement had provided ample time for reflection, allowing Lu Qingyu to indulge in her fantasies, no matter how she might rationalize her actions or seek to absolve herself. Ultimately, she had tacitly accepted the prolonged intimacy, a fact that could not be altered, regardless of how many justifications Lu Qingyu concocted by the time she regained her senses. His presence had already taken root deeply within her heart. Young master, having made such significant progress in your relationship with Miss Luo, are you not rushing back a touch too hastily? Shouldn't you strike while the iron is hot? I sense that Miss Luo and her companion, the little healer, are not ordinary individuals. They are formidable opponents. After consuming 3 vials of the physique-boosting potion, Junzi had received 2 more from Qin Lang within the past half month. His strength had now surpassed 150, a far cry from his previous self. Those bodyguards who graduated alongside him can no longer withstand even 3 moves from him. Nevertheless, when confronted with Ning Qianqian, he still felt an immense pressure, let alone facing his master sister, Luo Qingyu. Had it not been for her injury, Junzi was certain that this Miss Luo would be even more formidable. Qin Lang exhaled a cloud of swirling smoke and placed the cigarette but into the car's ashtray, casually inquiring, "Do you know what most easily touches a woman's heart? Money? How banal. A strong physique? How vulgar. Meticulous care? How servile." Junzi shook his head with a bitter expression, hands firmly gripping the steering wheel, accustomed to engaging in light-hearted banter with his young master while driving. "I suppose I am at a loss. What could it be, young master? Do enlighten me, so I may propagate this art." Qin Lang rummaged through his pocket for his cigarette case, hoping to light another, only to discover it was completely empty. It was needless to think. He knew this was the handiwork of Bairuyu. For the past half-month, every morning, whenever Bai Ruyu woke before him, regardless of how many cigarettes he had, a significant portion would mysteriously vanish, leaving him with just 3. He chose not to retrieve more from the system space. Silently accepting Bai Ruyu's concern, resting his chin in his hand against the window, he continued his conversation with Junzi, asserting that what most easily moves a woman is ultimately herself. No matter how well you care for her, if it is taken for granted, your efforts will yield nothing in the end. Conversely, leaving a lasting impression allows for fermentation. How it develops depends on the thoughts within a woman's heart. Junzi, holding the steering wheel, scratched his head, feeling somewhat bewildered, sensing that this exceeded his understanding. If only he had the time, he would certainly jot down every word the young master said, to review meticulously for 10 days or half a month, perhaps one day attaining even a fraction of the young master's charisma. Once the Maybach reached the highway, Junzi finally asked, "Young master, where are we headed now?" He refrained from stating a location, feeling uncertain. "Let us head directly to the snack street. I have some matters to attend to. And don't just idle about during your return. Acquire some decent equipment and prepare. It will be needed soon." Qin Lang rested his hand on the window's edge, his fingers rhythmically tapping, embodying a sense of leisurely elegance. It had been quite some time since he last visited Lin Sierra. Part of the reason was his recent busyness and certain hesitations, but considering the timeline and Lin Sierra's unusual reactions in their recent chats, it seemed that the plot had begun to unfold. Ultimately, Lin Xier harbored feelings of inferiority, after all, having lived for 20 years with physical shortcomings. No matter how well she concealed her vulnerabilities during her interactions with him, deep down, she yearned for the day when her legs would heal, allowing her to entertain certain aspirations. Rationality. This Lin Xier was excessively rational. Such a mindset rendered it difficult for Qin Lang to make any progress. He needed a compelling starting point to help Lin Xier relinquish her rationality. At that moment, Wu Ti, a charming and lively ordinary school beauty, in perfect health, emerged. Chapter 273. A great change in Lin Xier's family on the bustling street of snacks. Throngs of people meandered, couples entwined, sharing warmth and laughter as they indulged in steaming delicacies, evoking envy in onlookers. Previously, at this hour, Lin Xier would typically assist her family with their chores. Despite her physical limitations, she managed well with the aid of an electric wheelchair for tasks like serving dishes. However, ever since the last incident where the noodle shop was wrecked by Huang Wenbin, those days had vanished without a trace. "Xier, why are you daydreaming again?" The weary Zhao Mingyue emerged, her complexion pale, an alarming transformation compared to just a month prior. She knelt beside Lin Xier's wheelchair, gently cradling her daughter's head against her chest, whispering soothingly, "It's all right, consider it a fleeting dream. Everything will pass, and it will get better. Mom, I'm fine. I'm just wondering if Brother Qin will come by today. It's been a while since he visited." Lin Xier raised her head, suppressing tears that threatened to spill from her eyes. "Silly child, how could young Master Qin visit us every day? Such a prominent figure is beyond our reach. Elfia, you must be cautious and not fall too deeply. Otherwise, you will be the one to suffer." Zhao Mingyue embraced her daughter, trembling slightly, as if terrified that another man might take her away. It seemed as though her life revolved solely around this precious daughter, an irreplaceable treasure. "Yes, I understand." Lin Xier nodded obediently, reassuring her mother, "You didn't sleep at all last night. You should rest for a bit." "I'm really fine." Zhao Mingyue exhaled softly before rising. For a fleeting moment, darkness clouded her vision, and she felt a sudden urge to collapse. Yet she persevered, dragging her weary body step by step toward the inner room. Lin Xier gazed at her mother's frail figure, stifling her grievances, and turned her eyes to the bustling street filled with memories of joy and countless beautiful moments, now seeming so foreign, as if everything was drifting away from her. The world, once vibrant with colors, had transformed into a monotonous black and white. Why must it be this way towards me?" Lin Xier gently parted her lips, whispering her grievances, which surged within her heart like tumultuous waves, relentlessly crashing against her fragile heart, utterly dismantling her already feeble psychological defenses. Tears streamed down her cheeks uncontrollably. She dared not weep aloud, merely bowing her head, her frail shoulders trembling subtly, emitting soft, heart-wrenching sobs reminiscent of a stray kitten. She wept like a sorrowful soul, her vision blurred, as large teardrops dampened her light blue dress. "What happened? I arrive only to find you weeping with your head bowed. Who has wronged you?" A familiar voice resonated. In her sorrow, Lin Sierra raised her gaze to behold a face she had longed for, hastily wiping her tears with both hands, fervently shaking her head, insisting, "It's nothing, really. Brother Qin, why have you come to find me so suddenly? You didn't even inform me in advance. I've been quite occupied. I only just found the time and rushed over to see you," Qin Lang replied, refraining from further inquiries as he surveyed the surroundings, still bearing remnants of a noodle shop. Curiously, he inquired, "Is this noodle shop closed? The new one still hasn't opened? Why haven't they moved these tables and stoves yet? The new noodle shop isn't operational yet. I haven't had the time recently," Lin Sierra replied, biting her lip, continuing to dab at her incessant tears. No matter how hard she tried, the tears wouldn't cease, especially with Qin Lang standing before her. She harbored a heart full of grievances, yet dared not voice them, fearing she would burden her brother. She understood that Qin Lang was busy, entirely different from her idle self, and felt that consuming even a moment of his time was a waste. How could she allow him to expend more of his precious time on her? "How long has it been? You mentioned a month ago that the shop was settled. Why haven't you moved yet? Is there some issue? And what was the reason for your tears?" Qin Lang furrowed his brow, his demeanor turning serious, a palpable impulse to resolve any trouble evident in his expression. Lin Sierra shook her head, grasping Qin Lang's hand, softly murmuring, "It's nothing, really. It has nothing to do with the new noodle shop. The owner is quite amiable, and all the details have already been sorted out." "Then what is it?" Qin Lang, perceiving her hesitance, remained patient, awaiting her to articulate the reason. "It's just that my legs haven't healed yet. My parents hope to wait until I recover before opening the noodle shop." Lin Sierra fabricated an excuse, but soon regretted bringing it up, realizing it might burden Qin Lang further. Yet, once spoken, her words could not be retracted. "I returned this time to ensure your legs heal." Qin Lang's expression turned serious. "However, I'm fully aware of the kind of girl you are. It is utterly inconceivable that you would weep so sorrowfully over this matter. If you still regard me as your elder brother Qin, then summon the courage to share your fears. No matter how tempestuous the storms may be, I shall accompany you through it all. What is there to fear? Am I not here for you?" Lin Sierra blinked back tears, her eyes shimmering with unshed droplets, hesitating to speak. At that moment, Zhao Mingwei returned unexpectedly. She had just come back upstairs, her eyes barely closed, when she heard the commotion below and hurried down to investigate. Upon seeing Qin Lang, her expression shifted to one of surprise. "Young Master Qin, what brings you here? Please, come inside and have a seat. I shall brew you some tea." Qin Lang's brow furrowed deeper as he observed the worry etched across Zhao Mingwei's face. Her countenance aged by several years. He inquired, "Annie, what has transpired?" "I arrived to find Sheer in tears, and she remained silent. Now, seeing you in distress, I'm even more concerned about your well-being. How have you been faring during this period?" Zhao Mingwei gazed at her daughter, who was wiping away tears with her head bowed, her heart aching as though pierced by a knife. She shook her head bitterly, not wishing to conceal the truth. With evident anguish, she revealed, Sheer's father has encountered serious health issues. He has been hospitalized, and, after examinations, a grave condition has been diagnosed. This ailment is beyond cure. Sheer did not wish to burden you with her troubles, hence her silence. Unlike her daughter, Zhao Mingwei was not so naive. She recognized the integrity of young Master Qin and was aware he would lend his assistance. However, she understood that some matters, once articulated, could bring relief. The harsh reality of an incurable illness, no matter how difficult to accept, remained unchanged. If her husband had already resigned himself to fate, how could she allow her daughter to impose upon young Master Qin's time? Conflicted, she grappled with the desire to protect her daughter from being led astray by Qin Lang, while simultaneously acknowledging that her daughter had genuinely developed feelings for this affluent young man. She wished to avoid any discord arising from the situation. As a mother, who does not worry about their child's happiness? Even the most selfish parent could not keep their child tethered to them for eternity. Has it been confirmed? Which aspect is it? Qin Lang softly inquired, gently stroking Lin Sheer's head to soothe her. Is it possible the hospital's diagnosis was erroneous? Or perhaps there exists another facility with the capability to provide treatment? Zhao Mingwei shook her head, her complexion pale. The daily examinations at the hospital have been consistent over the past week. The diagnosis cannot be mistaken. What of Uncle now? Qin Lang asked with concern. Zhao Mingwei continued to shake her head. He is lying upstairs. He refuses to be hospitalized, having surrendered to his fate, and remains at home, showing no willingness to cooperate with treatment. Let us go see him, Qin Lang suggested as he led Zhao Mingwei and Lin Sheer toward the second floor. Understanding the resistance Lin Tianlin held towards treatment. The reason is simple. Knowing that this illness is incurable, I have no intention of wasting time on it. Rather than surrendering this money to the hospital, it is better to save it for my wife and daughter, allowing them to live well in the days to come. In the bedroom, Lin Tianlin lay on the bed, wide awake, propped against the headboard. His once thick, dark hair had vanished without a trace in just over a month, leaving behind a barren scalp. He had always been a light sleeper. Upon hearing commotion downstairs, he had already awakened. Upon seeing Qin Lang enter, he instinctively reached for a hat on the bedside table and donned it, forcing a pale smile and saying, "Young Master Qin, you've come. I apologize for my condition. I cannot move about freely, and I ask for your understanding if I seem remiss. Uncle, I have already heard from Annie about your health. Why are you not in the hospital, resisting treatment in such circumstances?" Qin Lang expressed his displeasure. "Do not stay at home any longer. Let's go to the hospital for a checkup." Enough. Young Master Qin, I appreciate your kindness, but this ailment is one that no one can overcome. Why waste so much money? Lin Tianlin waved his hand dismissively, wearing an air of indifference, as if he had grown weary of it all. Old Lin, listen to young Master Qin and go to the hospital. Who knows, there might be a miracle. Zhao Mingyue pleaded, her heart heavy with anguish. Do you realize how painful it is for me to watch you wither away at home day after day? This is akin to waiting for death. Do you know the torment my daughter and I endure? Lin Sierra, seated in a wheelchair beside her father, grasped his hand and implored, Dad, I do not care about the money. I just want you to recover so that our family can continue to live happily together. I do not want you to suffer. I do not want you to die. Foolish child, why waste that money? Lin Tianlin stroked his daughter's head, his eyes reddening. If he could, he would not wish for death. However, the cost of his illness was astronomical. It was an endless pit, one he knew would yield no returns. Why should he shatter the once intact family for his own sake? If he were to pass, his wife and daughter could rely on the remaining funds to live well. But if he pursued treatment and depleted their resources, how could his wife, alone with their disabled daughter, manage? Uncle, there are illnesses nowadays that are no longer deemed terminal. You may not have heard, but there are indeed cases of recovery. Qin Lang stepped closer, sitting on the edge of the bed and extending his hand to check Lin Tianlin's pulse. Lin Sierra's heart skipped a beat. She knew of Qin Lang's profound medical knowledge. Yet her father's illness was classified as terminal, and she dared not harbor excessive hope. Nonetheless, witnessing this scene ignited a flicker of optimism within her. It was akin to a drowning person clinging to a straw in their final moments. The situation is dire. According to my current medical expertise, I cannot provide a solution. Qin Lang sighed helplessly. The exceptional medical skills he possessed were indeed miraculous, as long as there remained a breath of life. He was confident in his ability to gradually heal. He was also assured that he could manage Lin Tianlin's brain cancer, albeit with a potentially longer and more complicated process. However, if he were to cure this devastating ailment that had burdened the entire family of Lin Tianlin with such ease, how could he fully capitalize on the opportunity to win over Lin Sierra? It was simply absurd. Should he continue along this path, the likely outcome would involve an endless stream of sweet nothings and countless vows, ultimately leading him to win over Lin Sierra. This was not the scenario Qin Lang wished to witness. Qin Lang's resolve was clear. If he could sit, he would not stand. If he could lie down, he would certainly not sit. And if he could remain still, he would not move. Should Lin Sierra have a penchant for movement, he would find it somewhat reluctant to accept, yet not entirely intolerable. As one could observe, even Qin Shao was at a loss, with hope extinguished. Lin Tianlin chuckled as he gazed at his wife. Yet, Qin Lang promptly interjected, Uncle, you may have misunderstood my words. I merely meant that I am unable to provide treatment, but that does not imply that the major hospitals are powerless. In fact, I have a connection with a private hospital that possesses experts in this field. Taking this opportunity, I can accompany you for a thorough examination. I returned specifically to assist Sierra in healing her legs. Whether for yourself or for Sierra, witnessing her stand again, surely, is this not the moment you yearn to behold? Qin Lang playfully pinched Lin Sierra's cheek, avoiding the gaze of the two elders, and with an affectionate tone added, As for finances, Sierra, you need not worry about me. We can simply deduct it from the betrothal gifts in the future. Chapter 275, Exquisite Tea Art. Life is a play, entirely dependent on performance. Upon hearing these words, Lin Sierra felt as if she were in a dream. Her mind was a blank canvas. In that moment, sorrow and joy coexisted, leaving her uncertain whether to rejoice or lament. Her emotions were intricately entwined in a state of turmoil. Then we shall trouble you. Qin Xiao, Lin Tianlin said, lying in bed as he observed his dazed daughter, a sigh escaping his lips. He understood. He knew his daughter harbored deep feelings for Qin Xiao. Yet as a man, how could he remain oblivious to the subtle thoughts of men? If it were possible, he would prefer his daughter to marry into an ordinary family rather than seek to climb the social ladder. The risks were simply too great. One step at a time. An hour later, Qin Lang brought the Lin family to the private hospital backed by the Black Dragon Society, where he conducted an extensive array of examinations for Lin Tianlin. He even summoned specialists from the oncology and neurology departments, including the hospital's director, for a comprehensive consultation. A group of individuals gathered in the consultation room, their gazes fixed upon the illuminated imaging report displayed before them. Occasionally, murmurs of conversation broke the silence, accompanied by shakes of the head and sighs of despair. Compared to the report brought in, the tumor within Mr. Lin's brain had indeed grown and was expanding at an alarming rate. At present, his head retained the shape of an ordinary person, but if this continued, it was feared that the rapid growth of the tumor would lead to abnormalities. Should it involve the nervous system, the situation would become exceedingly perilous. The hospital director was among the few who were privy to the intricacies of this institution. Upon receiving directives from higher authorities, he regarded Qin Lang, who had brought Lin Tianlin for consultation, with utmost seriousness and respect. His tone was imbued with deference and warmth. Taking a deep breath, Qin Lang spoke with a gentle smile. Director, I am well aware of your hospital's esteemed reputation. It is truly a rarity in the entire Tianhai city, and the experts gathered here are renowned both domestically and internationally. Given the circumstances, what are the chances of recovery? He grasped the trembling hands of Lin Xier, attempting to shield her delicate frame from the tremors of fear she experienced as she dreaded hearing any devastating news. The little girl clung to the hope of witnessing a miracle in her father's condition. The director turned to exchange glances with the various experts present, engaging in hushed discussions before finally addressing Qin Lang with a raised finger. 1 chance out of 10. Lin Xier's voice quivered with disbelief. She had never imagined that hope could be so scant. In contrast, Zhao Mingwei seemed to have released a pent-up burden, grasping her husband's hand and exclaiming, "Do you not understand? A 1 in 10 chance means there is still a possibility for survival. Why would you surrender so easily? Without you, how will this family continue to endure?" No, 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 the director exclaimed, startled by the misunderstanding. "You are misconstruing my words. It's not a 1 in 10 chance. Mr. Lin's tumor is malignant and has reached an advanced stage. After extensive deliberation and analysis, we have concluded that we can ensure Mr. Lin lives for 1 more month." With that single statement, the director's words struck like thunder in the minds of Zhao Mingwei and Lin Xier. 1 month. Only a final month remained. Lin Xier had initially thought a 1 in 10 chance was mere fantasy, but now she realized even that glimmer of hope was a luxury. Her father had been given a death sentence. Only 1 month remained. Dad! Lin Xier turned her wheelchair to Lin Tianlin's side, resting her head against his leg. Sobbing in anguish, "Why is this happening? I don't want this. I can't bear to lose you." With a sudden crash, before the sorrow of the Lin family could fully unfold, Qin Lang slammed his hand on the table and rose to his feet, exclaiming, 1 month. Are you jesting with me? I brought people here seeking healing, not to be informed of a death date. Whether you can treat my uncle today or not is irrelevant. If anything happens to him here, every one of you present shall be held accountable. Should my uncle pass away, you will no longer have a place in any hospital, be it in Tianhai City, Tianyu City, or the entire Dragon Country. I shall ensure you have nowhere to hide. Before the Lin family, the typically modest and gentle Qin Lang transformed into a furious lion, roaring vehemently at the dean and the assembled experts, devoid of any rationality, akin to a madman. Did the dean err? No. In fact, he has demonstrated remarkable humanity by allowing ample time for family companionship with Lin Tianlin. One could argue that Qin Lang's demands were nothing short of unreasonable, a barbaric threat towards the esteemed experts. Yet, Qin Lang was unconcerned. Lin Xier was watching, and his usual temper might leave a savage impression on her and the entire Lin family. But what incited this sudden wrath in the usually genteel man? It was none other than his affection for Lin Xier. It is evident that anyone would understand this motivation. To frighten a few experts for Lin Xier's sake was undoubtedly a worthwhile endeavor. This was a gamble he was more than willing to take. Young Master Qin, I appreciate your goodwill, but even the city hospital and the experts here say there is no hope left. There is no need to trouble these doctors. I would be content if I could just survive another month. Lin Tianlin spoke up in defense of the dean and the others. However, Qin Lang not only dismissed the gratitude, but turned sharply to Lin Tianlin, yelling, "You may not care, but have you considered how Sierra feels?" When I returned, I found her in tears, her eyes swollen from crying. Have you thought about what it means for Sierra to grow up without a father? While others enjoy the warmth of parental love, she would never again experience a father's affection. Do you truly believe I care about your life or death? I simply do not want Sierra to lose a loving father. Lin Tianlin stood there, momentarily stunned, feeling inexplicably insignificant, as if it were solely due to being Sierra's father that he commanded such attention from young Master Qin. He wished to retaliate, yet faced with this transformation of Qin Lang, who had become a different man for the sake of his daughter, he found himself at a loss for anger. Perhaps, even if he were to perish, knowing that Sierra would remain beside someone who loves her so dearly, like Qin Lang, would alleviate the final regret of his life. "Brother Qin," Lin Sierra murmured through tear-streaked cheeks, her delicate face resembling a rain-soaked pear blossom, exuding a sense of helplessness. Qin Lang's fury, akin to being brushed by a gentle willow branch, began to dissipate swiftly, and the redness in his eyes gradually returned to normal. He rubbed his cheeks vigorously with both hands, shaking his head in an effort to regain composure. Without glancing at anyone, he simply uttered an apologetic, "I'm sorry. I lost my composure. I need to wash my face." After speaking, he strode purposefully out of the consultation room. Chapter 276. Lin Siener's sole concern upon his return. Qin Lang entered the consultation room, enveloped in a heavy scent of smoke. He spoke directly, "I just made a call to some individuals in this field, and it appears that overseas researchers have developed an anti-cancer drug that effectively inhibits the growth of cancer cells." A phone call? No. He hadn't even brought his phone with him. What kind of call could he have made? It was true that he had smoked a few cigarettes, deliberately tousling his hair to appear as disheveled as possible. To achieve this, he even inquired about Junzi's impressions. According to Junzi, the young master's current appearance resembled that of someone emerging from the bedroom of the Bai family's eldest daughter, haggard, weary, and with a pronounced cough. The director nodded solemnly. No one was more informed than these seasoned experts about breakthroughs in foreign medical technologies, which they monitored closely. However, such medications were prohibitively expensive, with prices reaching upwards of $200,000 abroad, equating to nearly $1.5 million in local currency. An expert remarked, recognizing Qin Lang's extraordinary background. The earlier reprimand, where he had scolded them like children, might have incited the director's usual ire, prompting him to summon security to eject them. Yet, the director not only refrained from anger, but now awaited them with utmost respect, his demeanor increasingly humble. They dared not offend him, responding to every inquiry. "Do you have channels? Can you procure it?" Qin Lang furrowed his brow, stating, "Money is not an issue, as long as this drug can be obtained. Please do your utmost to acquire it. I will transfer the funds to your account shortly." In certain matters, some individuals possess a strong sense of self-awareness. For instance, in Qin Lang's predicament, some might quietly procure the anti-cancer drug without even mentioning the price, simply offering their assistance. What is that called? Deep affection? Touching a woman's heart? Nonsense. That is merely a display of servitude. The only one moved is oneself. If you make sacrifices without voicing them, who will know the extent of your efforts? To win a woman's favor, it is essential to express and demonstrate your intentions. Otherwise, during your absence while obtaining the medicine, she may perceive it as avoidance. For an ordinary person, over $1 million for anti-cancer medication is an astronomical sum, unattainable. Yet for Qin Lang, with just a word, he could procure it for Lin Tianlin as easily as candy. With a mere statement, countless would step forward to provide him with the medication. Yet he chose to mention the money in front of the Lin family, requesting the director and his colleagues to assist in purchasing it. "Rest assured, young Master Qin, we will contact our classmates abroad who are in the medical field. They have special channels for this." Experts promptly agreed. The young man before them was indeed a significant benefactor. If they could establish a rapport, it was conceivable that one day, in a moment of goodwill, he might elevate them to the position of deputy director. Furthermore, given the director's humble demeanor, it seemed entirely plausible that Qin Shao could promote them to the directorship as well. "Thank you," Qin Lang replied courteously. In the realm of anti-cancer medications, the options were not limited to a single type. I have colleagues abroad whose research facility has recently developed a remarkable anti-cancer drug, with effects far surpassing those currently available on the market. If Qin Shao is interested, I could inquire further. There is a chance we could procure a novel anti-cancer drug that has yet to be publicly released. At this moment, the group of experts exhibited no trace of arrogance, displaying utmost courtesy in Qin Lang's presence. Previously, they had already resigned themselves to a grim prognosis for Lin Tianlin, yet now they were filled with renewed determination. Whoever could extend Lin Tianlin's life, in Qin Xiao's eyes, would earn immense credit, potentially propelling them to unprecedented heights. The director, observing from the sidelines, felt an involuntary twitch at the corners of his mouth. Who was he? Acquainted with the intricacies of deceit, he had long discerned the ulterior motives of these experts and would not let such an opportunity slip by. While these experts were unaware of Qin Xiao's true identity, he had gleaned some insights. The young man before him was the sole heir to the Qin family of Yanjing. Should he successfully align himself with such a formidable figure, his rise to prominence would be all but guaranteed. Previously unaware of Qin Xiao's grave concern for Lin Tianlin's life, he now recognized the significance of this opportunity and could hardly let it pass. He spoke up. Qin Xiao, I have a mentor specializing in oncology who has been conducting research abroad. We find ourselves at a loss regarding Mr. Lin's condition. Perhaps if we could enlist my mentor's expertise, there might be a genuine chance of recovery. However, my mentor is rather eccentric and typically does not consult for unfamiliar individuals. If we can cure your uncle's ailment, I can arrange anything. Even if you desire entry into Xiangshan Sanatorium, I can facilitate that. Qin Lang's expression turned serious as he promised a substantial reward to an expert in the field of Chinese medicine. Xiangshan Sanatorium's physicians are on an entirely different level compared to those in the outside hospitals. The patients they routinely encounter are incomparable. To illustrate simply, if an elderly individual were to recover under the careful treatment of a particular physician, and during the course of treatment a significant rapport was established, a few kind words to benefit one's progeny could yield vastly different outcomes. The director was a perceptive individual. Some truths must not be spoken too bluntly. Yet he understood implicitly. Aware of the underlying principles, he quickly assured, rest assured, Qin Xiao, I shall make the necessary arrangements with my mentor immediately. Whether he is willing to come or not, I will ensure he treats Mr. Lin, even if it means bringing him here by force. After exchanging a few pleasantries, Qin Lang returned to the astonished Lin family. Zhao Mingyue stammered, Qin Xiao, this cancer medication is exorbitantly priced. Lin Tianlin wore a bitter expression, feeling he was imposing too much on Qin Lang. Shaking his head, Qin Lang maintained a warm smile, albeit tinged with an indescribable weariness. Uncle, please focus on your treatment here. As long as there is a chance for a cure, I will not relinquish even the slightest possibility. Even if it means spending money, I will ensure you remain by Shi'er's side for a while longer. Zhao Mingyue hesitated to accept, knowing the burden was beyond her means to repay. Yet, gazing at the man who had been part of her life for 20 years, how could she bear to refuse? Even without the ability to repay, she had no choice but to accept Qin Lang's assistance. Casting a glance at Qin Lang, who was intently observing her daughter, she gently suggested, Shi'er has been at home for too long, reluctant to go out and unwind. Since you are here, Qin Xiao, why not take Shi'er out for some fresh air? Qin Lang nodded lightly and turned to Lin Shi'er, softly asking, would you like to go out? Lin Shi'er nodded enthusiastically. Pushing the wheelchair, Qin Lang departed the hospital under the watchful eyes of Lin Tianlin and Zhao Mingyue. Once outside, a profound silence enveloped them, as if their words had been sealed away. They ambled aimlessly for what felt like an eternity. Suddenly, Qin Lang stumbled. The wheelchair lurched forward, and he barely managed to catch it in time, preventing Lin Shi'er from being thrown out. Qingo, are you all right? Lin Shi'er swiftly turned, her concern for Qin Lang overshadowing her own near mishap, her voice quivering with anxiety. Qin Lang shook his head. I'm fine, just a bit tired. I tripped over a stone. Lin Shi'er's heart tightened at the thought of her brother's earlier distress. Let us take a break then. We don't have to keep walking. She scanned the surroundings for a place to rest, but found nothing suitable. The only establishment nearby was the Fenglin Inn, which had a plethora of cars parked outside. Qingo, perhaps you've been overworked lately. My family situation has burdened you, preventing you from resting since your return. Why don't we take a break at this inn? Lin Shi'er suggested, pointing towards the inn. They had already walked quite a distance, and returning now would consume precious time. Moreover, the hospital was noisy. It was hardly a place for Qingo to rest comfortably. Qin Lang glanced at the inn, placing a hand on his forehead, feeling a wave of fatigue wash over him. Let us rest for a bit then. He pushed the wheelchair towards the inn. At the front desk, he observed an attendant engrossed in her computer. Counting out several red bills, he discreetly dropped two beneath the counter and inquired, How much for 2 single rooms? The aunt, startled awake, raised her head and stood up, gazing at the exceptionally handsome man before her. She cast a glance at Lynn Sierra, who sat in a wheelchair, and politely announced, 1 room costs 188, so 2 rooms would total 376. With practiced ease, she tucked a few red bills that had fallen on the counter into her pocket, forcing a smile as she continued. However, the single rooms are all booked. We only have 1 double room left. Then let's South find another place, Qin Lang replied, turning to push the wheelchair away. But Lin Sierra grasped his wrist, saying, Brother Qin, there are no hotels nearby, and we might have to walk quite a distance. She looked at the front desk clerk and declared, We'll take the double room. All right. The aunt cheerfully assisted with the check-in process. Watching as the two disappeared toward the elevator, unable to suppress a chuckle, these young people sure know how to have fun these days. Their room was located at the far end of the 5th floor, and perhaps by design, the room card bore the number 520. Upon entering, there was no unpleasant odor. The room was impeccably clean. After urging Qin Lang to rest on the bed, Lin Sierra busied herself with the electric wheelchair. She thoroughly cleaned the kettle, boiled water, and discarded it before finally preparing it for use. Once she returned to the bedroom, she found Qin Lang, still lying there with his eyes open. Concerned, she asked, Brother Qin, why aren't you sleeping? I can't sleep. My mind is troubled. I wonder how much help I can truly be for your father, Qin Lang replied. Resting his head back and staring vacantly at the ceiling, his expression one of deep melancholy. Lin Sierra felt her heart nearly melt at the sight. Propping herself on the edge of the bed, she crawled over to his side, cradling his head in her arms, her hands resting gently on his temples. Brother Qin, I will never forget your kindness for the rest of my life. If it weren't for you convincing my father, he would still be at home, refusing treatment. Don't dwell on it. It will only upset you. Let me massage your head, she offered, reassuring him, while my mother was busy at the noodle shop. I would help her with head massages too. With tender care, she used her small hands to massage Qin Lang's temples, occasionally brushing her fingers gently across his forehead, much like the tender caress of willow branches swaying softly in the breeze, evoking a sense of comfort and relaxation. After a short while, Lin Sierra found her position somewhat awkward, and with Qin Lang leaning against her, it was not entirely comfortable. She shyly murmured, Brother Qin, could you sit up for a moment? What is the matter? Qin Lang inquired, straightening himself slightly. Lin Sierra adjusted her long, slender legs to lie flat, arranging herself into a more comfortable position. She propped herself up with her hands on the bed frame and placed 2 pillows against the headboard, then blushingly waved at Qin Lang. Brother Qin, you can lie down now. It will be more comfortable for you to sleep. Hesitated for a moment, but ultimately obeyed Lin Sierra's request, lying in her embrace and relishing the attention bestowed upon him by the charming girl from humble background. As seconds trickled by, Lin Sierra felt a gentle flush blossom upon her cheeks. She could sense that her dear Qin Gij was unable to sleep, despite his restraint. He often stirred, occasionally brushing against her heart with a gentle nudge. While her legs remained devoid of sensation, her upper body was as responsive as any normal individual. Amidst her shyness, a flicker of anticipation ignited within her. If only Qin Gij's movements were intentional, that would imply, at the very least, that she held some allure in his heart. As time elapsed, Lin Sierra observed that not only did Qin Lang show no signs of slumber, but he also became increasingly restless, wearing an expression of discomfort, occasionally furrowing his brow as if suppressing something. With keen observation, Lin Sierra's face turned crimson, reminiscent of a boiled crab, as if steam might escape from her head if pierced with 2 holes. She stammered softly, Qin Gij, are you feeling unwell? I apologize. I had no idea it would be like this. I was too frivolous. Qin Lang turned over, covering himself with a blanket, avoiding eye contact with Lin Sierra. In a calm manner, he reassured her, it's nothing. I just need to rest for a while. How long is a while? She wished for Qin Gij to rest properly here, yet instead of receiving his gaze, she felt guilty for causing him not only fatigue but also distress. Lin Sierra's heart brimmed with remorse. Without a moment's hesitation, she lifted the covers and wrapped her arms around Qin Lang from behind, resting her head against the nape of his neck, whispering timidly, Qin Gij, I don't want you to suffer, so, if you wish, I am ever ready to give myself to you. Lin Sierra had long been deeply infatuated with Qin Lang, harboring profound feelings for him. However, she was plagued by fear and insecurity, believing that her condition rendered her unworthy of his affection. Yet, after the ordeal with her father, such concerns seemed trivial. She cherished the kindness Qin Gij had shown her, holding it close to her heart. In her life, apart from Qin Gij, she would never seek intimacy with another man. If only she could alleviate his burdens. If only she could free him from his anguish. She was willing to endure any hardship and accept any pain for him. Sierra, don't be foolish. Your legs have yet to heal. Some experiences are vital for you, and I won't be selfish enough to deprive you of a precious opportunity due to my own desires. Qin Lang spoke earnestly. Lin Sierra bit her rosy lip, trembling as she whispered against the nape of Qin Lang's neck. I once overheard other girls say. Time passed excruciatingly slowly as Qin Xian and Lin Sierra opened their hearts to one another. On the other side, in Tianyu City, the notorious assassin known as Reincarnation, upon learning that Qin Lang resided in Tianhai City, promptly relayed this information to Chun Fan, urging him to leave Tianhai City and seek protection from the senior sister. However, Chun Fan resolutely refused to search for her, particularly in his current state of grave injury, and after having exchanged harsh words with Reincarnation. After a period of introspection, Reincarnation ultimately could not suppress her psychological turmoil. The more she contemplated, the more she perceived the terrifying nature of Qin Lang. Even with the combined strength of her junior brother, they might still fall short against him. Moreover, her junior brother had lost his combat prowess and had become a mere patient. She could no longer afford to gamble. Who could predict when Qin Lang might strike at her junior brother? Concealing her junior brother's condition, she ventured alone to Tianyu City, seeking the refuge of her senior sister's family. Reincarnation? What brings you here? Queried Luo Qingyu, who was reclining on her bed, perusing a book. Upon hearing the almost inaudible footsteps, she lifted her gaze to her fourth junior sister, her expression tinged with curiosity. Nearby, Ning Qianqian lay sprawled on the bed, her long, slender legs repeatedly kicking against the bed frame in an attempt to vent her pent-up frustration. With a fuming demeanor, she pushed herself up, clutching her gaming console, and complained to her senior sister, I can't take it anymore. This just doesn't allow for any emotional release. I might as well seek out those ruffians to practice my skills. Absurd. Luo Qingyu chided gently. Stay put at the Luo residence and refrain from wandering outside. Recently, many have come to the Luo family seeking solace. It's one thing to deal with those wicked ruffians, but now even those affluent suitors are causing a stir. One particularly prominent young master has been so harassed that he can no longer continue his lineage. If this continues, even I won't be able to extricate you from the situation. Ning Qianqian dismissed her concerns, retorting, he was the one who looked at me with those inappropriate eyes. If I don't stir things up with him, who else should I target? Besides, if you can't handle it, isn't there still the brother-in-law? Noticing the flicker of seriousness in her senior sister's eyes, Ning Qianqian realized she had provoked her ire. She swiftly turned her attention to Reincarnation, attempting to shift the conversation. For junior sister, why have you come here instead of following Chun Fan? Reincarnation, inherently aloof, was intrigued by the mention of the brother-in-law, but chose not to inquire immediately. Instead, she furrowed her brow and stated bluntly, Junior brother has been injured, his legs are nearly ruined, and his shoulder has been pierced by a bullet. Luo Qingyu closed the book in her hands, her brow furrowing deeply, her tone turning icy. What audacity! Who has harmed Xiao Fan? Chun Fan was the only junior brother among their 7 sisters. No matter how much they might evade his affections, their bond of sisterhood could not be disregarded, especially since Luo Qingyu possessed an exceedingly protective nature. Whoever dared to harm her junior brother would undoubtedly face dire consequences. At this moment, she recalled the kindness of Qin Lang. Fortunately, the sinister energy surrounding her had been dispelled by him. Otherwise, she would have been too preoccupied with her own troubles to muster any strength for avenging her junior disciple. The more she needed him, the stronger her gratitude towards Qin Lang grew. Chapter 279. Ning Qianqian. Fourth sister, are you a bit foolish? There was a wealthy young man named Qin Lang, shrewd and deeply calculating. As the cycle of memories unfolded, she felt a sense of unease. It seemed as though he had anticipated her every move. Even when she had disguised herself and blended into the crowd to seize the opportunity to rescue the severely injured Qin Fan, she had not perceived any surprise on Qin Lang's face. It was as if her act of saving her junior disciple had been entirely within his expectations. Qin Lang? Ning Qianqian murmured, then added, is he the tall, slender, exceptionally handsome young man accompanied by a burly bodyguard? He hails from Yinjing, with a significant background, and most people lower their voices in his presence. Rui Hui nodded in surprise. You know him? Ning Qianqian rolled her eyes. Not only do I know him, but even the senior sister is acquainted with him. How could Qin Lang have injured Chun Fan so severely? Is there some misunderstanding here? Rui Hui shook her head. There is no misunderstanding. Qin Lang acted in a despicable manner, ambushing Chun Fan from a blind spot and using a firearm to cripple both of his legs. He has yet to regain the ability to walk properly. She looked at Luo Qingyu with a pleading expression. Senior sister, you have always cared for Chun Fan in our sect. Now that he is gravely injured and in danger, you cannot stand idly by while Qin Lang bullies him. Please, seek revenge for Chun Fan and make Qin Lang pay the price. In their sect, the senior sister treated all her junior sisters with equal affection, especially cherishing Chun Fan. However, after Chun Fan confessed his feelings for her, the senior sister deliberately distanced herself to avoid complications. Now, with Chun Fan so gravely injured, she could not possibly remain indifferent. Revenge? Making Qin Lang pay the price? Luo Qingyu's mind buzzed with thoughts. She had already resolved to avenge her junior disciple in a few days when her own injuries improved. The bonds of their sect were intertwined, and it was inconceivable for her, as the senior sister, to turn a blind eye to such injustice. But upon learning that the one who harmed her junior disciple was Qin Lang, Luo Qingyu was taken aback. She looked up, furrowing her brow. Is there perhaps some misunderstanding here? Ruehui, bewildered by the question, replied, What misunderstanding? The junior sister asks, and now the senior sister does too? I saw it with my own eyes. There is no misunderstanding. It was indeed Qin Lang who injured our junior disciple. Luo Qingyu pondered for a moment, then slowly spoke. What I mean is, could there be some misunderstanding on Chun Fan's side? Xiao Fan has always exhibited an extreme temperament. Did he commit some grave error that provoked Qin Lang, leading to this unfortunate incident? Luan Hui's eyes widened in disbelief. She never anticipated that seeking assistance would result in hearing such words from her senior sister. Is this truly the same senior sister known for her protective nature? Instead of avenging her little junior brother, she questions whether he has erred in some way. Gritting her teeth, she recounted the entire sequence of events without reservation. She was curious to discover what kind of enchantment Qin Lang had cast upon her senior sister to provoke such a transformation. Lo Qiyu furrowed her brow, as she gleaned no pertinent information regarding Qin Lang from Luan Hui's account. She pressed on with her inquiries. Luan Hui exhaled a heavy sigh, revealing that after Xiao Fan utilized a cave collapse to eliminate his enemies within the mine, an unrelated corpse was discovered alongside the others, seemingly connected to Qin Lang. Lo Qiyu's interest was piqued. Was this unrelated individual particularly close to Qin Lang? Luan Hui appeared puzzled, acknowledging that while Qin Lang referred to him as Haizi in a fraternal manner, she suspected something was amiss. Perhaps he had discovered a listening device and was deliberately speaking for their benefit. Lo Qiyu maintained a stern expression, addressing her fourth junior sister. Are you not being excessively partial towards Xiao Fan? Had it not been for your indulgence, would such a grave mistake have occurred? Xiao Fan's quest for revenge is a personal matter, devoid of moral judgment, merely a consequence of cause and effect. Yet, Xiao Fan has entangled an innocent person in this conflict, resulting in their demise. Instead of reproaching Xiao Fan, you dare to malign Qin Lang as insincere? How well do you truly know him? Have you spent every moment together, or are you merely childhood acquaintances? Seizing upon this point, Lo Qiyu refused to relent. Her face etched with frost. Before descending the mountain, their master had cautioned them against abusing power to oppress the weak. Yet both you and Xiao Fan seem to have forgotten this wisdom entirely. We are all born of parents. Xiao Fan has clung to the memory of avenging his own for over a decade. What Haizi's parents? Are they not human? Do they not mourn the loss of their child? By placing oneself in another's shoes, one must recognize that Haizi was a brother to Qin Lang. Should he not feel rage? Senior sister, it appears you have transformed into an entirely different person, Luan Hui observed, slightly taken aback. The usually taciturn senior sister had spoken at length to defend Qin Lang, expressing no desire to assist her little junior brother in seeking vengeance, but rather turning this into a public trial of him. Qian, do you also concur with the senior sister's perspective? Though you and Xiao Fan have never seen eye to eye within the sect, your disputes have always been playful. How will you choose amidst such a grave matter? Luan Hui turned to Ning Qian, hoping to leverage their numbers to quell the senior sister's admonishments. However, Ning Qian merely rolled her eyes in response. Fourth sister, are you not being a bit foolish? At this juncture, can you not discern the nature of the relationship between the senior sister and Qin Lang? The individual you speak of, who must pay a price, is none other than Qin Lang, your brother-in-law. Of course, the future remains uncertain. It is entirely possible that one day he may even become your brother-in-law. Luan Hui was taken aback, truly astonished that the senior sister had such a connection with Qin Lang. Why had she never heard of this before? Very well, if you choose to ignore it, I shall take matters into my own hands. She had initially assumed it would be a 2-on-1 situation, but unexpectedly, it turned into a 1-on-2. Not only was she already at a disadvantage against a senior sister, but now a junior sister was also providing support. How could she possibly suppress them? With a cold huff, she turned to leave. Luo Qingyu's voice carried a frosty tone as she declared that this matter would end here and instructed Xiao Fan to seek Qianqian's assistance for his injuries. Should you dare to incite other junior sisters to band together against Qinlang, do not say I, Luo Qingyu, did not warn you. Chapter 280. Affection. Luanhui's steps faltered for a moment before she hastened her pace, vanishing from the room. Only after a figure had completely disappeared did Ning Qianqian turn to Luo Qingyu, stammering, "Senior sister. Do you think the fourth senior sister might impulsively seek revenge on Qinlang, while others might heed your words? The fourth senior sister has long been entrenched in the assassin world, often resorting to severe measures. What if by some mischance, Qinlang fell victim to her wrath and perished? Would I not become a widow?" Luo Qingyu fixed her gaze on Ning Qianqian, her beautiful eyes betraying a hint of dissatisfaction. Ning Qianqian immediately pouted and waved her hand in concession. All right, you could be the widow then." She was quite displeased with her senior sister's demeanor, feeling stifled by the situation. The senior sister appeared to be usurping her rightful place, and she harbored serious doubts that the Qin family had chosen to ally with the Luo family due to the previous incident where she assisted Qinlang's grandfather, thereby sowing the seeds of fate. Logically, she should have been the one to become the Qin family's granddaughter-in-law, yet now her senior sister denied it. Such bullying of the weak, a blatant disregard for martial ethics. With your current condition, you might not even be able to contend with the fourth senior sister. Should I venture to Tianhai City to covertly protect Qinlang? The fourth senior sister's assassination skills were formidable. It would be wise to take precautions. Ning Qianqian decided to employ a strategy of indirect engagement, daring to approach Qinlang and perhaps even fostering an improved relationship in the process. Without a moment's hesitation, Luo Qingyu refused, stating that there was no need. Your limited strength may suffice against others, but it is insufficient in the face of Luanhui. Moreover, Luanhui's character has always been such that if she could resolve the issue alone, she would never seek my assistance. Now that the matter has been laid bare, Luanhui, given her nature, would not seek further allies. Should she persist in her obstinacy, she would ultimately be the one to suffer. Luo Qingyu pondered deeply, feeling increasingly dissatisfied. It seemed that Chun Fan had recently been rather indulgent, and even in seeking revenge, it was inappropriate to involve innocent parties. With a gleeful demeanor, observe the shift in her senior sister's affections. Typically, her senior sister would refer to the young man as Xiao Fan with utmost concern, yet now, entangled with Qinlang, she had swiftly altered her address to Qin Fan. How fickle women can be, changing their sentiments more swiftly than the weather. Despite her own disdain for Chun Fan, she felt a pang of sorrow as she considered their shared history. Had she not been unable to best him in combat, she would have relished the opportunity to subdue him. Now, witnessing her senior sister's indifference towards Chun Fan, she couldn't help but feel a sense of melancholy, pondering over Chun Fan's well-being and whether his leg had been broken. Meanwhile, Luanhui, after departing from the Luo family, remained enveloped in a cloud of despondency. She never anticipated that the one who had harmed her junior brother, Qinlang, would be her senior sister's fiancé. The deception ran deep. Her visit to the Luo family to seek out her senior sister had only resulted in a self-inflicted setback. Was it truly her fault? Qinlang, an outsider, had inflicted harm upon her junior brother. Was revenge not warranted? As for her junior sister Ning Qianqian, their relationship was akin to that of sworn enemies. And upon seeing her junior brother injured, she might have even found a twisted sense of joy. However, her senior sister's reaction left her profoundly shaken. For the sake of an unworthy fiancé, she seemed to dismiss the enmity directed towards her junior brother. If she would not intervene, Luanhui resolved to seek justice for Xiao Fan, even if she were to stand alone. With a cold expression and a voice as frigid as the depths of the abyss, she declared, "Qinlang, you have harmed Xiao Fan, and you shall pay the price." At that moment, on the bed in Fenglinwen, Qinlang sneezed, scratching his nose and grumbling in discomfort. Big brother Qin, Lin Xier, nestled in his embrace, whispered softly, "Are you awake? What's wrong?" Qinlang rubbed his eyes, still weary from a night of toil before his return, now finally granted a moment to rest. Lin Xier shifted uncomfortably, murmuring, "Actually, my arm is trapped beneath you, and it's quite uncomfortable. I didn't want to disturb your peaceful slumber, but now that you're awake, May I free my arm? Qin Lang quickly sat up, allowing her to extricate her arm, then gently grasped her upper arm, chiding, "Is it numb?" With a bashful expression, Lin Sierra nodded slightly, just a little. "You silly girl." Qin Long poked her forehead, exasperated. "Why didn't you say something? If I hadn't sneezed, would you have remained trapped for hours? That would have been unbearable." Lin Sierra smiled, her shyness resembling a water lily swaying in the gentle breeze, and dreamily replied, "It was just a little numb. It wasn't that uncomfortable. Besides, this way, I can hold you even better, big brother Qin." Though discomfort lingered, the warmth of Qin Lang's concern enveloped her heart like honey, filling her with a sweet and comforting warmth. "Are you ready?" Qin Lang gently squeezed Lin Sierra's arm and inquired with concern. Lin Sierra nodded, then quickly shook her head, extending her other arm, which still felt somewhat numb. Qin Lang's brow furrowed as he lunged at Lin Sierra, playfully tickling her. "Ah, Lin Sierra, you've even learned to deceive me now. This arm isn't even being pressed down. How could it possibly feel numb? Are you trying to trick me? Let me show you the disciplinary methods of the Qin family." Qin Lang's hands danced around Lin Sierra's side, prompting her to burst into laughter, nearly gasping for breath. After a while, Lin Sierra sensed something amiss, biting her lip as she heard a faint rustling sound from beneath the blankets. "Qin Dage, you're bullying me," she murmured softly, wrapping her arms around Qin Lang's neck, her cheeks flushed like ripe apples. Qin Lang leaned in, planting a kiss at the corner of her mouth, a mischievous smile gracing his lips. "Now tell me, do you like it or not? If you don't like it, then I shall sleep." Lin Sierra, her fingers intertwined at the back of Qin Lang's neck, gripped tightly until her knuckles turned white. She averted her gaze, too shy to meet Qin Lang's eyes. Mumbling in a voice barely louder than the fluttering of a fly's wings, "I don't like it." Chapter 281. Reincarnation and the Crimson Mandrake. They remained at the hotel until evening. Only then did Qin Lang push Lin Sierra's wheelchair back to the private hospital of the Black Dragon Society. Without a moment's respite, they were summoned by the director and a group of expert professors to discuss Lin Tianlin's condition. The discussions continued into the late hours of the night before finally reaching a conclusion. Zhao Mingwei, visibly fatigued, exhaled deeply after bidding farewell to the experts and Qin Lang. "Young Master Qin, I am truly grateful for your assistance this time. Without your intervention, old Lin's health would likely have deteriorated beyond recovery." During Qin Lang's absence from the hospital, the director had personally handled all necessary procedures, arranging for a specialized intensive care unit complete with dedicated doctors and nurses on standby, ready to respond within a minute of being summoned. What alarmed her further was that during the final discussions with the experts, the cost of just the cancer treatment had already exceeded 50 million. What a staggering figure that was. And this was merely the first phase of procurement. She could only wonder how much more would be required to ensure her husband had even a glimmer of hope. Without Qin Lang, she would have had no means, even if she sold everything she owned, to secure her husband's survival. "Auntie, you are too kind. You need not worry about these matters. I can handle it alone. Next time such discussions arise, you and Sierra should simply stay in the ward with Uncle." Qin Lang waved dismissively. However, Zhao Mingwei shook her head in disagreement. "That won't do. We must come. Otherwise, we won't have any sense of the immense debt of gratitude we owe." Lin Sierra sat in her wheelchair, clutching Zhao Mingwei's arm, softly murmuring, "Do not be afraid. Sierra is here with you." Sierra, obediently, Zhao Mingwei gently stroked her daughter's head and turned to Qin Lang, urging, "It is getting late. Qin Xiao, you should take some rest. I will take care of old Lin, so I entrust Sierra to you. She still needs someone to look after her, as her legs have not fully healed." "Very well. I will wait outside for a while." Qin Lang nodded, observing the mother-daughter duo holding hands, and without further prompting, he departed from the conference room. Once the room was left with just the two of them, Zhao Mingwei crouched down, casting a glance towards the door before earnestly fixing her gaze on her daughter. "Sierra, tell me, have you had any relations with Qin Xiao?" "No." Lin Sierra hesitated, uncertain if what had transpired that afternoon could be deemed a relationship, and merely shook her head, feeling shy about discussing such matters. Zhao Mingwei's expression turned bittersweet. "Qin Xiao truly treats you well. Even I can see that. Those ordinary rich heirs, if they wish to win a girl's affection, would typically resort to spending money on her, which is already a rare occurrence. Yet Qin Xiao not only generously offers his financial support, but also dedicates considerable time to accompany you, using his connections to assist you and your father. If our Lin family were to remain guarded against Qin Xiao, it would be tantamount to repaying kindness with ingratitude. Such a stance is utterly indefensible." Lin Sierra's gaze softened. "I know. I've always been aware of how well Qingge has treated me. I cherish it in my heart and shall never forget. Not now, nor in the future. I will remember it for a lifetime. Tonight, I shall refrain from discussing other matters. But remember, even if you reach that stage, you must take precautions to protect yourself. Zhao Mingyue produced a crudely packaged pouch from her pocket, handing it to her daughter. It was something she had purchased from the hospital's vending machine, intended to teach her daughter self-protection. Given her daughter's nature, she could only hope for compliance. Yet, no matter how satisfied she was with Qin Lang, daughter remained so young. Precautions were essential. Mom, Lin Shier gazed at the item in her hands. Her face flushed as she lowered her head, playfully complaining. Qingge would never use something like this. Meanwhile, having departed from Tianyu City, the reincarnation swiftly made her way to Tianhai City, not even stopping by to visit her junior disciple's temporary residence, but heading directly to Qin Lang's villa. In the assassin world, there exists an unspoken rule. A place where one has previously failed must not be revisited. As the top assassin, she should have been more cautious than anyone else. Yet, the fury within her could not be quelled. Her junior disciple had been gravely injured, and her reconnaissance had been thwarted by the blood-red mandala. Now, even her request for assistance from her senior sister had been denied, and she was forbidden from seeking help from any other sisters. Was it merely a refusal to assist her, without relying on others? She would make Qin Lang pay the price on her own. The night was hazy, shadows danced among the trees, and a crescent moon hung high in the sky. The cycle of reincarnation transformed into a shadow, vanishing into the depths of the night, swiftly approaching the villa where Qin Lang resided. She was acutely aware of the tight security surrounding the estate, bolstered by numerous formidable bodyguards. Yet, she dismissed them as insignificant obstacles. Her primary target was Qin Lang. To avoid arousing suspicion, she opted for a clandestine approach, navigating around the back of the villa. By breaching just a handful of guards, she could silently infiltrate the premises. Just as she circumvented the vigilant bodyguards at the rear, and before she could reach the villa's garden, a shimmering dagger hurtled toward her with an astonishing speed that rendered it nearly invisible. With a swift sidestep, she narrowly evaded the treacherous attack. Cold sweat beaded on her forehead. The dagger's velocity was unnerving. Had it not been for a glimmer of reflection that caught her attention, she would surely have been struck. Who was it? Her demeanor shifted to one of caution, her senses heightened as she scanned her surroundings. The mere act of throwing that dagger revealed the prowess of the assailant, a masterful assassin, rivaling her own skills and well-versed in the art of assassination. After waiting so many days, you have finally arrived. I thought you would abandon this assassination attempt. A chilling laughter echoed, followed by the appearance of the blood mandala, clad in a sleek black dress. As she leapt from the second-floor balcony, her gaze fixed intently on the reincarnation. The wait had been excruciating. After consuming the physical enhancement potion provided by Qin Lang, her physical abilities had undergone a remarkable transformation, rendering her stronger than ever before. Once a formidable fighter, she had been gravely wounded in their last encounter, and the bitterness of that defeat fueled her desire for retribution. Now, faced with her nemesis, she was unwilling to retreat into the shadows any longer. It's you. The reincarnation furrowed her brow, disbelief flooding her senses. How could you possibly still be alive? Do you truly believe that your mediocre skills can threaten me? The blood mandala scoffed, her form vanishing from view and reappearing with alarming speed. A poisoned dagger clasped in her hand. This weapon, while resembling a dagger, was slightly elongated and crafted with a unique three-edged design, ensuring that any wound inflicted would bleed profusely. It was an unequivocal instrument of death. Unwilling to be outdone, the reincarnation produced a crimson shuriken, advancing rather than retreating, ready to engage in combat with the blood mandala. Both assassins moved with astonishing agility, their fighting style distinct from the brute force of typical brawls. Each clash of their weapons resulted in instantaneous retreats, followed by a constant shifting of positions. The sharp clang of the shuriken against the dagger resonated, accompanied by the rapid, elusive movements of the two figures. Should such a commotion go unnoticed, the bodyguards surrounding the villa would surely be deemed incompetent. Good heavens, is she truly that powerful? One of the onlookers mused, awestruck by the speed of the woman in black, acknowledging her prowess with a sense of reverence. Boast if you will, but with your speed. You resemble a tortoise before Miss Blood Mandala. Should she desire your head, it would be as effortless as plucking an apple from a tree. Very well, I concede that I cannot best her, but the one facing Miss Blood Mandala is no slouch either, not yielding in the slightest. Should we not, perhaps, discreetly lend a hand with a couple of shots? A bodyguard suggested that if we cannot win, we might as well provide support from the sidelines. Lao Huang shook his head, advising against courting trouble. The young master has decreed that Miss Blood Mandala's matters should be resolved by her alone, and we must not interfere. Stand idly by? Are we to remain powerless? One bodyguard scoffed, visibly displeased. Lao Huang retrieved his phone, dialed a number, exchanged a few words, then hung up. Casting a glance at his younger companions, he stated, I have already spoken with Miss Su. She will not be returning tonight. The remaining matters are beyond our concern. Whether your intentions are noble or inadvertent, since the young master has given orders, we shall adhere to them. There is no need to linger idly here. Return to your posts. It will not be long before we are truly occupied. With that, Lao Huang and several bodyguards discreetly withdrew, opting not to intervene. Meanwhile, outside the villa's rear courtyard, the battle had escalated to a fever pitch. Blood Mandala and Reincarnation were locked in a fierce contest, neither willing to concede an inch, both refusing to display any sign of weakness. Indeed, it is no surprise that Reincarnation, the #1 assassin on the leaderboard for over 8 years, remains formidable. One must wonder, was she already at the top in her teenage years? Blood Mandala quickly retreated a few paces, gripping her dagger with renewed fervor, her fighting spirit soaring. It seemed she was lamenting, yet it was a thinly veiled mockery. The so-called top assassin was nothing remarkable before her, unable to assert dominance once more. You're truly Blood Mandala. Reincarnation's brow furrowed, her expression uncertain. It had been less than half a month since their last encounter. How could such a transformation occur in so short a time? Even she found it impossible to suppress Blood Mandala. Moreover, she sensed a change in Blood Mandala's physique. Her form appeared more slender, her waist as delicate as a willow branch, barely graspable, yet concealing formidable flexibility, capable of swiftly channeling her entire body's strength for both offense and defense. Were it not for her unchanged visage, she might have believed she was facing an entirely different opponent today. Indeed, it is not the same. Blood Mandala scoffed. In the past, I merely ranked among the top 3 assassins. Yet after tonight, the position of #1 shall be claimed by another. In an instant, she surged forward, her speed surpassing even that of before. Reincarnation was taken aback. She had barely managed to hold her ground earlier, and now, witnessing Blood Mandala's intensified ferocity, she was even more astonished. Had Blood Mandala been holding back during their previous skirmish? What had transpired within her to provoke such a remarkable transformation? Through the lens of Reincarnation, one cannot fathom the terrifying potency of the physique-enhancing potion #10. Much less the fact that Qin Lang unreservedly bestowed upon the blood-colored Mandala a staggering 40 vials of such elixirs. During this interval, although the blood-colored Mandala had not fully assimilated the entirety of these potions, she had made considerable progress. Her physique had surpassed 450, a remarkable transformation from her previous state of just over 100, akin to a rebirth through the flames of nirvana. And what of Reincarnation? She barely approached 400. How could she possibly contend with the blood-colored Mandala? In a mere span of 10 minutes, under the full force of the blood-colored Mandala's onslaught, the battle concluded with Reincarnation's defeat. Amidst her calculations, she never anticipated that she would fall to your hands. Reincarnation found herself pinned to the ground by the blood-colored Mandala, who pressed her knee against her back, eliciting a self-deprecating chuckle. Crack! Crack! Without further ado, the blood-colored Mandala deftly dislocated Reincarnation's arms, subsequently hauling her by the collar back into the villa, directing her towards the bedroom where Qin Lang resided. Thud! Reincarnation was unceremoniously discarded upon the bedroom floor, akin to livestock awaiting slaughter. The blood-colored Mandala rummaged through the room, searching every nook and cranny. Soon after, she bound Reincarnation securely. Chapter 283. Qin Lang's Wrath. Summoning the divine doctor, keep it down. I still wish to sleep. The illustrious leader of the assassin rankings cannot even endure this minor torment. It makes one wonder how you earned your title. The blood-colored Mandala scoffed, rolling her eyes dramatically. The memory of her previous defeat at the hands of Reincarnation left a stinging wound in her heart, and now, with vengeance upon her, she was determined to devise a fitting method to thoroughly torment her adversary. In pondering her options, she realized that the torturous techniques she was familiar with would likely be ineffective against a top-tier assassin like Reincarnation. Conversely, the soul-crushing torment she had once endured would undoubtedly bring Reincarnation to her knees in humiliation. This echoed an ancient adage. The dragon-slaying maiden ultimately becomes the dragon herself. Blood-colored Mandala, you despicable fiend. If you wish to kill, then kill. If you desire to maim, then maim. Do you not fear the backlash of such humiliation? Reincarnation's expression hardened, suspended in midair, her body trembling with a palpable aura of murderous intent. Gritting her teeth, she summoned all her energy, striving to break free from the confines of the poison. Even at the cost of severe injury, she would not allow herself to suffer such indignity. Her eyes rapidly filled with blood, on the verge of an explosive outburst. Continue to endure. I shall take my rest. The blood-colored mandala, indifferent, wrapped herself in the blanket, tossing the remote aside, and turned away, closing her eyes. Yet, she did not lower her guard. As a top assassin, her instinct for danger transcended the ordinary. Should reincarnation exhibit any signs of anomaly, she would awaken instantly. Blood-colored mandala. Reincarnation's pearly teeth chattered, her rage so intense that her molars threatened to shatter. Days slipped by in silence. At the private hospital of the Black Dragon Society, both the anti-cancer medications and the esteemed mentor of the director have been summoned at a tremendous cost to address Lin Tianlin's existing condition. Numerous collaborative treatment plans have been discussed, a spectacle rarely witnessed even by renowned foreign neurosurgeons. Were it not for the knowledge of Lin Tianlin's association with young Master Qin, one might have presumed that a prominent figure from the Dragon Country was suffering from a grave ailment. The scale of this undertaking is astonishing. Nonetheless, despite such efforts, Lin Tianlin's physical state remains grim. The elderly foreign expert, his silver hair framing a troubled visage, spoke with a heavy heart. While a translator diligently relayed his words, young Master Qin, Mr. Lin's condition has reached an advanced stage. Under normal circumstances, he would be unlikely to survive beyond a month. Even with anti-cancer drugs, the treatment merely prolongs life. Eventually, resistance to these medications will develop, and the available anti-cancer drugs may only extend Mr. Lin's life by 3 months at most. Presently, the only viable option is surgery. However, none of us can assure that, should the operation proceed successfully, Mr. Lin might survive another 6 months to a year. If the surgery fails, the elderly man's voice trailed off, leaving an ominous silence. Standing behind him, the director, as a disciple, clenched his jaw in frustration. What is the success rate of the surgery? Zhao Mingwei inquired, her voice trembling. After conferring with the elderly expert, the director replied solemnly, less than 20%. Less than 20%. Qin Long's gaze darkened. I have expended millions to bring you here from abroad, and you offer little more than the prospect of 3 additional months of life through medication. Now, you come to suggest that surgery might lead to immediate death? Even if successful, it may not extend his life beyond a year. Hearing the translator convey these words, the elderly expert's expression shifted between despair and indignation. Had it not been for his disciple's prior warnings about young Master Qin's remarkable background, he might have already confronted Qin Lang. In his homeland, he was revered. Even the wealthiest tycoons, when beset by illness, sought his assistance, often having to accommodate his schedule. Yet here in the Dragon Country, he faced such humiliation. His anger flared, his complexion reddening. Mr. Lin's illness is indeed beyond remedy. Had it been any other physician, they would possess even less than this meager 20% chance of revival. Brother Qin, please do not be angry. Do not let it affect your health. Lin Xie'er urged softly, clutching Qin Lang's arm. She understood that he was deeply concerned for her father's condition. Having invested an immense fortune to gather these foreign experts and medications at the hospital, now confronted with such disheartening news, it was not only Qin Lang who felt resentment. Even she could not suppress her discontent. Yet reality lay starkly before them, and they were compelled to acknowledge it. Zhao Mingyue, with her pale fingertips, exhaled a deep breath and patted Qin Lang on the shoulder, forcing a smile as she said, Qin Xiao, perhaps it would be best not to pursue treatment for this illness? With less than a 2/3 chance of success, it may be wiser to refrain from attempting it. We cannot even imagine the costs involved in hiring these individuals for surgery. Old Lin has suggested that with those anti-cancer medications, living a few more months would already be satisfactory. During this time, let me and Xie'er remain by Old Lin's side. Lin Xie'er wiped away her tears and nodded in agreement. Qin Lang clenched his jaw and, gesturing towards Lin Xie'er's legs, turned to the foreign expert he had invited. What are the odds that you can restore her nerves? The expert, wearing a broad smile, replied, Qin Xiao, Miss Lin's legs are indeed rather peculiar. The scans reveal no abnormalities whatsoever. It is perplexing that she cannot walk, yet her legs appear so perfectly developed. Regrettably, we are powerless in this situation. How can this be? If one option fails, what are you all here for? A bunch of useless individuals. Qin Lang shouted in fury. If you cannot help, I will seek out those who can. With that, he left the conference room, leaving behind a single remark. Lin Xier called out Brother Qin, but received no response. Zhao Minghua looked towards Junzi, who remained in the conference room, and anxiously inquired, Big brother, do you know where Qin Xiao has gone? Junzi scratched the back of his head and replied, Please, do not call me big brother. If the young master hears you referring to me as such, I fear he might tilt my head ask you. As for the young master, he may have gone to seek that renowned doctor in Yanjing. That physician is notoriously eccentric, filled with suspicions and difficult to understand, often disregarding the feelings of others. Even if the young master were to ask for his help, it might prove futile. Chapter 284. The renowned doctor appears to cure the father-in-law. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. After heading to Yanjing, Qin Lang completely vanished, as if he had evaporated from the world. Zhao Minghua and Lin Xier were filled with dread, fearing for Qin Lang's safety. Junzi reassured them, stating that the old doctor's residence was quite remote and he disliked modern devices. It was possible that the communication tools had been deliberately placed elsewhere by the young master, resulting in the lack of timely responses. For 3 consecutive days, neither Lin Xier nor Zhao Minghua could locate the young master, and even Junzi found himself a loss. Not only were Lin Xier and her mother anxious, but he too was concerned. The phrases and excuses the young master had instructed him to use were nearly exhausted, and should Miss Lin inquire further, he would be a loss for words. At that moment, a figure appeared at the doorway of the hospital room. An elderly man, with hair as white as snow, yet possessing a youthful visage, emanated an inexplicable aura. He looked up at the room number and, clearing his throat, asked, Who among you is Lin Tianlin? Excuse me, sir, may I ask who you are? Zhao Minghua quickly rose to inquire. Qin Lang stroked his entirely white beard and chuckled softly. I am known as Tyinjizi, here at the request of the young ones from the Qin family to rescue someone. Tyinjizi? Junzi, standing behind, gazed at the familiar visage that should have been utterly obliterated, now reappearing before him, feeling an absurdity that was hard to fathom. He knew the young master would return to the hospital in the guise of an elderly man, yet he never anticipated that this elderly figure would be Tyinjizi himself. Furthermore, the resemblance was so striking that it was nearly indistinguishable from the true Tyinjizi. Even he, who had personally reduced the original to ashes, could not discern the truth from the illusion. The art of disguise was indeed miraculous. Old Master Ji, you have arrived at last. Junzi hurried forward, blinking in recognition. Yet, Qin Lang's expression turned icy as he delivered a swift kick, sending Junzi hurtling backward like a kite cut from its string, landing several meters away, grimacing in pain. Dr. Ji, why did you come alone? Had you informed me sooner, I could have arranged for someone to meet you. The old man comes and goes as he pleases. What concern is that of yours? Qin Lang, disinterested in crafting another disguise when a perfect one was readily available, inquired with displeasure, Where is Lin Tianlin? Where is he? He surveyed the surroundings, frowning. I dislike the atmosphere here. Zhao Minghua and Lin Xier exchanged glances, both deeply astonished. They had never imagined that such a frail figure as Tyinjizi could send the burly Junzi flying with such ease. It was simply incomprehensible. Master Healer, the situation is as follows. My husband is currently undergoing examinations by various specialists and is somewhat indisposed. Zhao Minghua explained candidly. Qin Lang waved his hand dismissively. Lead the way. I wish to see. Both Zhao Minghua and Lin Xier dare not refuse. Even Junzi recognized the extraordinary nature of this esteemed healer, obediently guiding them to a treatment room. Lin Tianlin lay on the hospital bed, his upper body bare, his bald head exposed, while various instruments scanned him under the scrutinizing eyes of the attending experts. Suddenly, the door to the treatment room swung open, and the group of foreign specialists turned, glaring furiously at Zhao Minghua and Lin Xier. What do you intend to do? We are in the midst of examining Mr. Lin's condition. Are you trying to disrupt our focus and prevent Mr. Lin from recovering? The tension among the experts had reached a boiling point. 3 days prior, they had faced Qin Lang's wrath and had been left speechless. Now, they found themselves trapped, unable to leave, yet also unable to proceed with surgery, akin to being imprisoned, an utterly stifling predicament. They dared not express their frustration at Qin Lang, nor could they unleash their ire upon the vulnerable mother and daughter. That is not the case. The esteemed healer summoned by young Master Qin has arrived, and we wish for him to assess my husband's condition, Zhao Minghua quickly clarified, her expression tinged with bitterness. Healer? You? An elderly man with completely white hair and disheveled attire? A few foreign experts, regarding the transformed Qin Lang, could not help but snicker. A band of useless individuals. Keep your distance from me. If you cannot even save a patient, how dare you make a fuss here? Qin Lang emitted a cold snort, his demeanor icy. He had long grown weary of this group of foreign specialists. Were it not for the exorbitant treatment costs he was compelled to incur, he would have had no desire to invite these fools over. Moreover, he had no inclination to don a mask of someone else's making, only to be mocked and humiliated. He approached Lin Tianlin directly, and during this process, several experts intentionally obstructed his path, only to be gently pushed aside by Qin Lang, who sent them sprawling to the ground. Qin Lang meticulously removed all the various electrode patches from Lin Tianlin, retrieving a delicate silver needle case from his pocket. With fluid grace, he extracted the silver needles, deftly inserting them into Lin Tianlin's acupuncture points. It was evident to the naked eye that Lin Tianlin's complexion began to shift towards a sickly flush. Before the elderly foreign expert could utter threats, claiming that if anything went awry, the sole responsibility would rest on Qin Lang, the words had yet to escape his lips. Qin Lang had already pierced Lin Tianlin's head with a specially designed silver needle, allowing a stream of dark red, tainted blood to flow out through the hollow needle. The entire room was permeated with a foul odor. What is this principle? Is this the liquefied essence of the tumor? How can it dissolve? And why is it flowing out through the needle? This defies logic. The foreign elder and several experts exchanged incredulous glances, murmuring in disbelief. A few minutes later, Qin Lang removed the silver needle from Lin Tianlin's head and casually remarked, "All done." Several experts, familiar with the procedure, moved in to conduct a comprehensive examination. Shortly thereafter, the elder's facial muscles trembled, and he gasped in terror, exclaiming, "How is this possible? The shadow of the tumor has vanished. Is the tumor truly gone? This is unscientific. How could such a miracle occur?" Conduct another thorough examination. Upon witnessing this extraordinary occurrence, the hospital director became exhilarated, stepping forward to issue commands to the specialists within the facility. The team responsible for Lin Tianlin's care commenced a new round of meticulous examinations. During this process, Lin Tianlin gazed with wide, innocent eyes, silently observing the various instruments scanning and illuminating his body, feeling somewhat dazed, as if in a dream. Not only he, but even the renowned foreign brain expert, the director's mentor, was filled with trepidation upon witnessing the scene. With late-stage tumors, he had barely a 20% chance of complete surgical removal. Now, it seemed that an elderly man with a youthful spirit had managed to draw out the liquefied essence of the brain tumor with just a few needles. Most remarkably, during the treatment, Lin Tianlin remained fully conscious, without even the slightest administration of anesthetics. This is utterly astounding. In nearly 60 years of experience on the operating table, this is a case I have never encountered before. It is nothing short of a medical miracle. How is it? What is the condition of old Lin's body? Is the brain tumor still present? Zhao Mingwei stood nearby, and upon noticing that the group of experts had ceased their activities, she dared to softly inquire. Lin Sierra clenched her small fists, her forehead glistening with beads of perspiration born from excitement, her heart pounding audibly within her chest. The hospital director swallowed hard, incredulously murmuring that Mr. Lin's brain tumor, or rather, after meticulous examination, appeared to have vanished without a trace. Divine physician, thank you, venerable healer. Zhao Mingyuan knelt in the direction of Qin Lang, fervently bowing her head several times, her voice imbued with heartfelt gratitude as tears streamed down her cheeks. Lin Sierra fidgeted in her wheelchair, and had it not been for Junzi's gentle reminder, she might have followed suit and knelt on the ground. In an effort to maintain her proud demeanor and avoid revealing her emotions, even in the presence of her future mother-in-law kneeling, she showed no inclination to assist. She merely stood there, her gaze composed, exuding an air of ethereal grace. In a deep voice, he stated that he was merely fulfilling a request from young Qin, and there was no need for thanks. It turns out that it was young Master Qin who summoned the divine physician. Previously, we may have been somewhat presumptuous towards the esteemed elder, but may I ask where the elder holds his esteemed position? The director approached somewhat obsequiously, and upon seeing Qin Lang's attire, instinctively clasped his hands in a gesture of respect, awkwardly inquiring. Qin Lang cast a sidelong glance before turning his head away, offering no response. Might the elder have any interest in holding an honorary title as an expert at our hospital? Our establishment, if I may say, boasts first-rate benefits, not only in Tianhai City, but throughout the entirety of Long Country, we rank among the finest. The director extended a warm invitation, noting that this private hospital in Tianhai City is unparalleled in its welfare system. In terms of compensation, this private institution undoubtedly offers salaries that far surpass those of public hospitals. Furthermore, the influential Black Dragon Society backs this hospital. What does that signify? In financial matters, the Black Dragon Society, as a terrestrial power, is known for its lavish expenditure, particularly in providing logistical support for private hospitals, often attracting the most distinguished doctors in Long Country. Thus, in terms of employee benefits, it is indeed an enviable establishment among its peers. However, before the director could continue extolling the virtues of his hospital, Junzi promptly intervened to defuse the situation, stating that the divine physician was personally invited by the young master, who had traveled all the way to Yanjing and spent 3 whole days for this purpose. Such a divine physician is not someone you can simply aspire to associate with. The director awkwardly swallowed, his eyes darting as he lavished praise upon Qin Lang, and then he smiled and retreated, abandoning any thoughts of opportunism. Old Lin, how do you feel? Zhao Mingwei approached the bedside, grasping her husband's hand and softly inquiring. Lin Tianlin's head still buzzed a bit, and he felt as though it had shrunk. He murmured softly, reveling in the comfort. The pain that had intermittently plagued him, which he had relied upon medication to alleviate, had vanished. In fact, he even felt a twinge of hunger, capable of devouring 2 large bowls of white rice. Appetite is indeed intertwined with one's physical condition. When the body is unwell, food becomes unpalatable, yet when health is restored, the appetite naturally flourishes. This is a sign of recovery, or perhaps the miraculous touch of the venerable healer. The director gave a thumbs up in Qin Lang's direction. Truly, he felt a genuine admiration for this old physician, devoid of any external influences. Previously, he had revered foreign medicine, pursuing studies abroad, and upon returning, he considered himself superior to the traditional Chinese doctors of the Dragon Nation. However, Qin Lang's appearance was akin to a resounding slap to his face. The late-stage brain tumor that even his most esteemed mentor could not remedy was cured under the care of this old healer from the Dragon Nation in less than half an hour. This was nothing short of an eye-opener. Having just recovered from serious illness, it is prudent to eat small, frequent meals. Qin Lang cast a dispassionate glance and offered a few gentle reminders, his voice soft yet imbued with an undeniable authority. Thank you, venerable healer. Thank you so much. Zhao Mingwei grasped her husband with one hand while wiping her tears with the other, tears flowing into her mouth, leaving her at a loss for words. I prostrate myself before you, venerable healer. As she spoke, she bowed deeply towards Qin Lang, her head striking the ground repeatedly. Qin Lang glanced back, swiftly changing the subject. Otherwise, at this rate, his father-in-law would remain unscathed while his mother-in-law would be left to explain his presence here. The fervent bows echoed against the tiles, as if fearing the tiles would shatter before her head did. You must be Lin Xier, the one mentioned by Xiao Qin? You have a disability in your legs, yet are able to grow normally? Qin Lang gazed at Lin Xier, his eyes like a tranquil pond, viewing her as a stranger. Lin Xier, wiping her tears of joy, nodded affirmatively. Yes, that is me. I came here solely to assist Xiao Qin in healing one person. Now that your father, Lin Tianlin, has been cured, I should take my leave. Qin Lang waved his hand dismissively. No, I share a bond with Xiao Qin. I once imparted a technique to him in his youth, and to my surprise, he has mastered much of it. Consider it your fortune. Let's change venues, and I shall assist you with the hidden ailment in your legs. Chapter 286. Zhao Mingwei. My daughter's heart has been stolen, venerable healer. Please follow me. The director led the way, guiding Qin Lang to a different treatment room. The foreign elder trailing behind felt a mix of frustration. Such an obedient disciple ought to have treated him with equal respect. Yet now, it appeared that he was dutifully bowing before another. He had no words, utterly stunned by Qin Lang's medical prowess, unable to recover from the shock. Shortly thereafter, Qin Lang arrived at a spacious, bright, and clean patient room, rather than an operating theater. Certainly, it was a request made by Qin Lang while on the road. Upon arriving at the hospital room, Qin Lang waved his hand, indicating for everyone to leave. All right then, with the esteemed physician present, I am indeed superfluous, the dean chuckled, promptly turning to depart. The accompanying experts, including Junzi and Zhao Mingwei, were also ushered out. Are you feeling anxious? Qin Lang inquired calmly, casting a glance at Lin Xier, who lay on the bed, appearing somewhat restless. Lin Xier nodded weakly. May I ask how I should cooperate with the treatment? Do I need to remove my clothes? She felt a twinge of trepidation from the absence of anyone by her side. At that moment, she wished fervently for her elder brother Qin to be there with her. As long as he was present, she felt assured and unafraid, for he embodied a steadfast anchor, a lifelong source of support. No need for that. Extend your hand. Let me take your pulse first, Qin Lang instructed. Lin Sierra obediently offered her wrist. Suddenly, 2 silver threads shot forth from Qin Lang's sleeve, deftly entwining around Lin Sierra's wrist. His fingers, the index and middle, moved slightly as he assessed her pulse. As the antagonist, Qin Lang harbored no fondness for the Minotaur. Even with the mask of a celestial being obscuring his features, he refrained from any overly intimate gestures with Lin Sierra. It was prudent to maintain a certain level of caution. Otherwise, it felt as though something was amiss. Had he truly betrayed himself? That would be utterly absurd. The situation was not overly dire. Perhaps it was due to the frequent treatments administered by Xiao Qin that her condition had not worsened. Otherwise, given the chaotic state of her leg nerves, the progression with age would have likely led to severe deterioration, ultimately resulting in complete paralysis of her lower limbs. Qin Lang spoke earnestly about Lin Sierra's condition, leaving her quite alarmed. In a state of panic, she stammered, "Esteemed physician, will I ever be able to stand on my legs again? I don't want to live my life in paralysis. I still have so many things to accomplish. Just lie still," Qin Lang commanded, swiftly retracting the silver threads into his sleeve. Even in his earlier days as a skilled physician, he had been capable of healing Lin Sierra's legs, but due to certain plans, he had been unable to fully cure her in a short period. Now, having attained divine-level medical skills, he could even reverse conditions akin to terminal illnesses, let alone Lin Sierra's legs. He retrieved a box of silver needles and, without requiring Lin Sierra to disrobe, he precisely inserted the needles through her clothing, targeting the acupoints accurately. Within moments, Lin Sierra's legs were densely populated with no fewer than 100 silver needles, each entwined with a continuous silver thread. The slightest tug of Qin Lang's fingers would induce movement, either withdrawing the needles or deepening their insertion. "How do you feel now?" Qin Lang asked, driving a few needles deeper. Lin Sierra pursed her lips and shook her head, indicating she felt nothing. The silver threads shifted once more. Lin Sierra's beautiful face trembled slightly, her long, dark eyelashes fluttering with discomfort, a tingling sensation coursing through her. The entire treatment process slowed down, as Qin Lang operated with the precision of a meticulous instrument technician, while Lin Sierra acted as an observer, reporting on the instrument's operational status. Their roles were distinct yet separated, with bystanders unaware that a doctor was treating a patient. They might have mistaken the scene for a leisurely chat between a grandfather and granddaughter. Remarkably, the doctor conducted the treatment without direct contact, manipulating all the silver needles solely through the silver thread. How peculiar it was to avoid suspicion in such an odd manner. "It hurts, it really hurts." Lin Sierra's voice intensified, yet Qin Lang did not relent, the silver thread thrumming wildly. Finally, with a swift tug, the myriad silver needles released from Lin Sierra's legs and returned to a small open box. Even as Qin Lang's wrist flicked, extracting the silver thread, the needles remained neatly arranged within the box. Even Lin Sierra, with no knowledge of medical practices, could not help but admire the skillful technique. Reminiscent of the time her father took her to see a circus, nearly compelled to toss a $5 bill in appreciation. Yet, this was merely her internal astonishment and reverie, not something she could realistically act upon, unless her mind were to suffer some grave ailment. "All right, everyone come in, stop peering outside the ward," Qin Lang said, lightly before heading to the restroom to wash his hands. Outside, Zhao Mingyue and the others swarmed in, gathering around the bedside. Zhao Mingyue's voice trembled as she inquired, "Sierra, how do your legs feel?" "A bit numb, tingling but very comfortable and indescribable sensation," Lin Sierra replied, attempting to lift her leg, but casting a pained glance toward her mother. "I don't know how to lift my leg," Zhao Mingyue pondered. "Try using your hip joint to exert some force." Following her mother's comical suggestion, Lin Sierra endeavored to lift her leg. Yet a motion she hadn't performed in nearly 2 decades was not something she could master with mere words. "Will it require several treatment sessions?" "This is just one session, and you're not fully healed yet?" "That is a possibility," the hospital director and several neurology experts murmured amongst themselves. Junzi rolled his eyes, picking up a stethoscope from the bedside table and gently tapping it against Lin Sierra's leg. "It hurts," Lin Sierra gasped, her calf instinctively shifting position. Observing this, Junzi tossed aside the stethoscope, grinning. "Congratulations, Miss Lin. You are healed." The esteemed doctor was personally invited by the young master. His medical skills are extraordinary, and the notion of multiple treatment sessions is unfounded. However, since you have not utilized your legs for many years, it will take a moment to reacquaint yourself. The fact that you can feel pain clearly indicates you are already healed. All right, Sierra, you're finally well. Zhao Mingyue could scarcely conceal her realization that her daughter's legs had indeed been healed. In her childhood, even when her legs were struck by a chair, her daughter never uttered a word of pain. Now, at long last, she has developed a sense of sensation. It won't be long before she can walk again. How splendid! How magnificent! A double joy has come to pass. Today, both her husband's terminal illness and her daughter's long-standing affliction have been miraculously cured. Where is the esteemed physician? Zhao Mingyue searched anxiously for Qin Lang's figure, clearly eager to compare her flushed forehead against the hospital's tiles to see which was more resilient. Upon returning from washing his hands, Qin Lang glanced over and cautioned, "Do not bow. If gratitude is to be expressed, direct it towards young Qin, for it is he who invited me here." Junzi quietly advised Lin Sierra, "Miss Lin, the young master has been unreachable. Perhaps the esteemed physician knows his whereabouts." Lin Sierra's eyes lit up at his words, her heart racing with trepidation. Yet she could not suppress her concern for Qin Gij and softly inquired, "Esteemed physician, do you know where Qin Gij is? It has been 3 days, and there has been no word from him." Lin Sierra stammered, unsure of how to frame her question. Qin Lang waved his hand dismissively. "There is no need for worry. He has been kneeling outside my humble abode these past 3 days. When I arrived, he had just fainted. By now, he should have regained consciousness at the hospital. 3 days without food or drink would be fatal for most, but this lad possesses remarkable endurance. Fortuitously, it rained during that time. He should be fine." Chapter 287. Lin Sierra stands up. Qin Lang's words struck Lin Sierra like a thunderclap, causing her mind to buzz with confusion, leaving her momentarily blank. After what felt like an eternity, she finally emerged from her daze. "I must find Qin Gij." Lin Sierra, fueled by an inexplicable surge of strength, perhaps a subconscious reaction, suddenly flipped over and stood up from the hospital bed, intent on leaving. Junzi and a group of experts watched in astonishment, their eyes wide with disbelief. "She is standing. Lin Sierra is standing. Sierra, your legs?" Zhao Mingyue gasped, her eyes brimming with tears as she beheld her daughter standing for the first time on her own. At last, her daughter could walk like any ordinary girl. Lin Sierra's ability to stand was a testament to her indomitable will. Having never witnessed a pig run, she was nevertheless unprepared for the sensation. Under Qin Lang's medical expertise, the damage to Lin Sierra's legs and the disordered nerves had long been healed. However, due to prolonged disuse, she struggled to find her balance. Ignoring the situation initially was manageable, but once she became aware, it had an adverse effect, as if her legs had suddenly lost strength, causing her to lurch forward. Zhao Mingyue, quick as lightning, rushed to support her daughter, casting a fearful glance toward Qin Lang, maintaining an expression of calm. Qin Lang remained unfazed. The human body is a finely tuned instrument. Previously, the components within Miss Lin had malfunctioned and could not operate normally. Now that they have been restored, some calibration is needed. There is no cause for haste. "Old divine doctor, will my daughter's legs develop any lasting afflictions in the future?" Zhao Mingyue inquired with concern. Qin Lang shook his head, assuring her that since she was already healed, there would be no remnants of illness left behind. "Brother Qin, I want to see Brother Qin's mother. Will you take me to Yinjing? I wish to stay by Brother Qin's side. I beg you." Lin Sierra's eyes were red, tears streaming down her cheeks, splattering onto the white tiles of the hospital room. Pain, agony. Upon receiving the news of Brother Qin, the joy of her legs being healed was suddenly overshadowed. For her sake, Brother Qin had knelt before the Hermit of Destiny for 3 days and nights, fasting and enduring the rain. How could this be? How could Brother Qin inflict such suffering upon himself? She would rather her legs never stand again than allow Brother Qin to endure even a moment of torment. "Mother, I must go to Yinjing right now." Lin Sierra grasped Zhao Mingyue's arm, her voice choked with desperation. Zhao Mingyue had intended to agree, but Junzi quietly interjected, "If the young master is unwell, he will certainly be in a special care unit. I want to take care of Brother Qin." Lin Sierra was unwilling to heed such reasoning. Her immediate instinct was to rush to Brother Qin's side, clutching his hand and vowing never to let go again. In that moment, her heart was overflowing with Brother Qin's affection, leaving no room for anything else. Junzi coughed lightly, glancing towards Qin Lang. Certain hospitals are not accessible to the general public. Even I, as a personal bodyguard, cannot enter. This is not merely a matter of closeness. Some patients have special identities and should ideally not be exposed to outsiders. You understand, don't you? The director quickly interjected. Miss Lin, please do not put your mother in a difficult position. No one knows where young Master Qin currently is. How can we arrange a meeting? Since he is in Yanjing, there are professionals ensuring his hospitalization is meticulously organized. Moreover, if you suddenly go to Yanjing and fall prey to unscrupulous individuals who might exploit you to coerce young Master Qin, it could lead to a disastrous situation. Zhao Mingyue gently stroked her daughter's head, feeling a pang of sorrow. Sire, please wait a little longer. When young Master Qin returns, you can spend as much time with him as you desire. I shall not hinder you. Besides, your legs have just healed, and you are not yet able to walk normally. It would be rather awkward to meet young Master Qin in such a condition. During this time, focus on your recovery, and when young Master Qin returns, you could be the first to dash into his embrace. I believe that sight would bring him immense joy. In Lin Sieter's mind, she vividly envisioned the scene depicted by Zhao Mingyue, filled with longing. Yet, the worries and anxieties within her remained insurmountable. She sobbed softly, her tears cascading like rain on a pear blossom, lamenting, "But I wish to see Brother Qin now. He fell ill because of me. It is all my fault. It is my fault that Brother Qin is suffering." Xiao Qin's health was stable, and he would return after a few days of recuperation. The matters I promised him have already been settled. It is time to depart. Qin Lang spoke plainly before exiting the ward. Old divine doctor. The director hurried after him, knowing that even if he could not persuade the old doctor to serve as a guest expert, gaining insight into medical knowledge from him would be invaluable. However, he was just a moment too late. Upon reaching the corridor, the old doctor had vanished without a trace. He surveyed the area before shaking his head and returning, muttering, "Truly remarkable. At such an advanced age, he moves with such swiftness, disappearing in the blink of an eye along that long corridor." Junzi sighed. The old doctor has the most peculiar temperament, and his physical constitution is unparalleled. His origins are shrouded in mystery. Otherwise, a common physician would never have disregarded our young master. Only this old divine doctor could remain so composed. Were it not for our young master's sincere intentions, Mr. Lin and Miss Lin would likely never recover from their ailments in this lifetime. The director and a group of specialists exchanged glances, murmuring among themselves. Indeed, they had previously believed the professors from abroad to be exceptionally skilled, yet before the old doctor, they were not even worthy to carry his shoes. Only someone of the old doctor's caliber could withstand the 3 bows and 9 kowtows from young Master Qin. Who would have thought that such a prominent figure as young Master Qin would one day kneel before another, and for 3 consecutive days at that? Hush! Someone began to speak, but the director quickly motioned for silence, casting a glare at him. Yet it was too late. In Zhao Mingyue's embrace, Lin Sierra remained silent, but her sobs grew more choked, her shoulders trembling violently. One could only imagine the torment and anguish she felt within. In Lin Sierra's heart, she had always felt inferior in the presence of Qin Lang, whether it pertained to her appearance, physique, or family background. She considered it an immense fortune to have garnered Brother Qin's affection, never expecting that he would kneel for 3 days and nights before the old doctor's abode for her sake. How could she ever repay such kindness in this lifetime? This bond, even if she were to shatter into 1,000,000 pieces, she would find it exceedingly difficult to repay it. Chapter 288. The gyroscope's test. After departing from the hospital for a while, Qin Lang tore off the mask of secrecy that had concealed his face. Gazing at the bustling crowd, he felt somewhat disoriented. Where to go? The Queen's bar? That would not do. He had been cooped up there for days, hardly leaving Qiu Jiuer's room. At this hour, Qiu Jiuer was likely still in a deep slumber. Should he seek out Zhou Ziqing? It is rather unfeasible. Zhou Ziqing and Lin Sierra are exceptionally close friends, and no matter the circumstances, it would be inappropriate to approach Zhou Ziqing. There's a risk of unforeseen complications. As for Bai Ruyu and Bai Xiaoyun, they remain in Tianyu City. Lin Yuqiu and Mu Yuyan are preoccupied with the construction of their overseas facilities, tirelessly working without pause. His visit now would evoke a sense of taking advantage of a situation. It is best to return home, especially since there is a reliable human-like monitoring device, Junzi, at the hospital, which will promptly report any anomalies, alleviating concerns of disturbances. In the villa district, Qin Lang ascended towards the bedroom upstairs. Before he even arrived, he could hear commotion from within. Upon entering the refreshed bedroom, Qin Lang cast a suspicious glance at the blood-colored mandala and inquired, "Has someone been here?" The blood-colored mandala nodded and explained. It was Luan Hui. That woman came by a few days ago, presumably intending to take action against you. Fortunately, my wit and caution prevailed. I anticipated her malicious intent and waited for her here, ultimately encountering her. Qin Lang acknowledged with a nod. Are you her adversary? The blood-colored mandala gritted its teeth. Recognizing Qin Lang's teasing, yet felt compelled to clarify, the physical enhancement potion you provided has been fully consumed over these past few days. Luan Hui is certainly no match for me. Initially, I intended to torment her thoroughly, but considering Luan Hui's status as the former champion of the assassin rankings, I feared she might be my equal in resilience. Reflecting on this, your methods proved more effective, as she has been coming here every night seeking vengeance. Do not provoke a tiger. Such perilous actions may lead to backlash, Qin Lang kindly cautioned. Is Luan Hui truly a mother tiger? Scoffed the blood-colored mandala. Surely, your interest in this mother tiger is not absent. Either, I have not deprived you of opportunities. I have accompanied Luan Hui to various locations recently and learned some concealed truths. For instance, she has a junior disciple named Chun Fan, who has sustained severe injuries to his legs, presumably inflicted by you, correct? TSK. Their relationship is quite extraordinary. Despite mutual affection, they remain bound by propriety. The blood-colored mandala, fixing its gaze upon Qin Lang, continued, if an opportunity arises, I could abduct Chun Fan. At that point, you could assume his identity, leveraging your extraordinary disguise skills, and I doubt even Luan Hui would recognize you. One cannot deny that the blood-colored mandala's scheming in these shadowy matters is indeed remarkable. It has essentially devised a perfect plan for Qin Lang to toy with Luan Hui. However, upon hearing such a scheme, instead of being enlightened, Qin Lang frowned and replied with gravity, in the future, refrain from voicing such matters in my presence. Disguise may serve its purpose in various endeavors, but using it to humiliate Luan Hui while impersonating Chun Fan's visage is utterly distasteful. It may bring you pleasure, but at what cost? However, what lingered in the heart of the cycle was the thought of Chun Fan. Goodness! Upon further reflection, it was utterly nauseating. Shaking his head vigorously, Qin Lang fixed his gaze on the blood-red mandala, resolving to keep such thoughts to himself henceforth, as they were increasingly disconcerting. If he truly harbored feelings for the cycle, employing an array of cunning tactics, why resort to any form of disguise? Why subject himself to such discomfort? The blood-red mandala blinked, a seductive smile forming upon her lips, acknowledging his composure, and declared, Now, whatever you say shall be as you wish. Chapter 289. The Unyielding Heart of the Mandala Ding. Congratulations, host. You have gained 1,000 villain points. Ding. Congratulations, host. You have gained 10,002 villain points. Ding. Congratulations, host. You have gained 10,003 villain points. Ding. Congratulations, host. You have gained 10,006 villain points. Pray tell, why has the cycle yet to arrive this evening? Qin Lang mused, embracing the blood-red mandala, his uncertainty palpable as he spoke softly. The blood-red mandala, quite vexed, lamented, It's only been a short while, and you're already pining for the cycle? If she cannot come, after repeated encounters, she must surely know she is no match for me. How could she possibly seek further humiliation? Turning her head away in displeasure, she yanked the blanket from him, exposing his hand to the cool air. Qin Lang sighed, lamenting, What a pity. The last time the cycle left you in such a state, I had anticipated you would take decisive action against her. Yet unexpectedly, she survived your grasp. I had hoped to find an opportunity to make her pay. Is that truly your intention? The blood-red mandala queried, turning to face him, her beautiful eyes wide with astonishment. She had never considered that Qin Lang might genuinely wish to kill the cycle. After all, their initial encounter had been born of animosity, which had since evolved into their current relationship. How is it fair that you may harm her while I cannot take her life? Where's the justice in that? Qin Lang huffed in annoyance. Some actions bear consequences. What grievance do you hold against Chun Fan? Why'd you break his legs? The blood-red mandala inched closer, gradually resting against his chest, whispering softly. Qin Lang began to recount trivial matters, merely the tale of his encounter with Chun Fan, which was rather dull. Yet the blood-red mandala listened with rapt attention, utterly engrossed. By your account, that fellow named Zhou Hao is indeed unfortunate. Clearly, he was deceived by you and used as a mere pawn. The crimson mandala nearly burst into laughter, having never encountered such treachery. Originally scheming against Zhou Hao, she found that Chun Fan had resolved the issue with Zhou, yet instead of gaining favor, he had been rendered crippled. Do you think I am overly cunning? Qin Lang lowered his head and cast a sidelong glance. The Crimson Mandala hastily shook her head. No, this is merely intelligence and strategic foresight. How fortunate I am to have him as my man. She cared not for Zhou Hao's fate, nor did she lament Shun Fan's lost legs. All that mattered to her was that her man remained unscathed and had reaped benefits. Had the situation been reversed, with Qin Lang injured, she would have pursued Shun Fan to the ends of the earth, determined to exact vengeance upon him. Enough chatter. Why the sudden verbosity? It's time for bed. Qin Lang yawned, feeling fatigued, and leaned against the headboard, his eyes narrowing in slumber. However, the Crimson Mandala, seemingly invigorated, gently turned Qin Lang's head to face her. And as he opened his eyes, she closed them again with a tender touch. You sleep as you wish. I shall watch as I please. We shall not disturb one another. Oh, came Qin Lang's indifferent reply, a cold smirk forming within. Ha, women. Truly are they all like clumsy oafs. For several consecutive days, Qin Lang remained in the villa. During this time, Su Xiaoxiao finally returned as she had longed to. Qin Lang reflected on how the Crimson Mandala's demeanor had undergone a complete transformation. She was no longer the cold-blooded assassin ranked among the top 3. He had intended to introduce them, but to his surprise, he discovered that they had already crossed paths. Sister Blood, I've told you countless times. Just a pinch of salt will suffice. Too much makes it inedible. Su Xiaoxiao exclaimed from the kitchen, snatching a bag of salt from the Crimson Mandala's grasp. Gazing at the overcooked greens in the pot with a sigh. Why don't you take a seat in the dining room? I will serve it as soon as it's ready. Dejected, the Crimson Mandala sat down beneath Qin Lang's amused gaze, raising her fist in mock frustration. What are you laughing at? These hands are meant for killing, not for cooking. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. It's only natural. With his chin propped on his hand, Qin Lang nodded with interest. I'm not mocking your culinary skills. I am merely curious as to why you entered the kitchen with a spatula in hand. The enhancement in my physical abilities from the body enhancement potion is overwhelming. I feared I could not control it, so I thought to adapt through mundane tasks. Cooking being one of them, the Crimson Mandala replied lightly. Coincidentally, at that moment, Su Xiaoxiao emerged from the kitchen holding a large bowl of rich pork rib soup. Upon hearing this, she responded with an incredulous tone, Sister Blood, didn't you say that the young master loves my cooking? And that is why you asked me to teach you? In an instant, she had deftly dismantled the Crimson Mandala's fabricated excuse, leaving no room for contemplation. In response, Su Xiaoxiao exhibited no fear whatsoever. Instead, she playfully blinked at the blood-colored mandala. It was evident that her actions were intentional. Astonishingly, the blood-colored mandala, rather than harboring resentment towards Su Xiaoxiao's audacity, appeared somewhat at a loss, merely rolling her eyes and huffing dismissively. You talk too much. Little one, do you realize that your words, just now, could very well cost you your life? Do not be deceived by the fact that the woman before you is only a few years your senior. The number of lives she has taken is in the hundreds, if not thousands. You should know that Blood Sister was once the 3rd on the assassin's list, and now she stands as the foremost, the leader, no less. Furthermore, that Shun Fan from the orphanage has a grudge against your young master, and his senior sister was previously the top assassin. I am fully aware of all this. Blood Sister has informed me. Yet, to this day, I remain oblivious to what Blood Sister's real name is. Su Xiaoxiao placed the pork rib soup on the table, scooping a bowl and presenting it to Qin Lang, then promptly serving one to the blood-colored mandala as well. In contrast to Qin Lang's calm demeanor, the blood-colored mandala stood to accept the bowl of soup. You may call me blood-colored mandala. That is my name. She took a sip of the soup, speaking in a rather nonchalant manner. She did have a birth name that she remembered, but those who had named her had long since met their demise at her hands. Why dwell on that name? Was it not akin to inviting trouble? I simply cannot comprehend why, despite following your instructions meticulously in preparing the soup. The flavor differs so vastly when served to you. The blood-colored mandala mused, a hint of confusion in her tone. Su Xiaoxiao check it lately, explaining that cooking is neither exceedingly difficult nor overly simplistic. It requires precision in timing, heat, and various ingredients. A slight deviation could lead to a significant alteration in flavor. Mastery comes with familiarity and practice. As long as Blood Sister is willing to learn, it won't be long before you can prepare a sumptuous feast for the young master yourself. The blood-colored mandala nodded earnestly, occasionally sampling pieces of tenderloin with evident appreciation. Whether Su Xiaoxiao's earnest teachings truly resonated within her heart remained a mystery known only to herself. observing the unprecedented camaraderie between the two women. Even as the typically formidable and cold-hearted blood-colored mandala adopted a demeanor reminiscent of a young girl in Su Xiaoxiao's presence, Qin Lang felt a sense of surprise. However, he did not dwell on it. The two women often frequented the villa, and their eventual acquaintance would spare him a trivial chore. Interrupting Su Io's discourse, Qin Lang interjected. Mandala, have you ever heard of the hidden killers? Indeed, I have. Why do you ask? The blood-colored mandala raised her head, seriousness overtaking her features. Has someone from that organization offended you? Who is it? Just give me a code name, and I shall embark on a journey abroad tonight to eliminate them. Qin Lang shook his head. It's not so much that they have offended me. I am merely curious about where the headquarters of the Hidden Killers is located. Among Chun Fan's 7 companions, the second sister serves as the clandestine force behind the Hidden Kill, the enigmatic leader of a legendary organization. In the original narrative, her role is somewhat limited, and based on the current storyline, she is unlikely to arrive in Longhua in the near future. At times, it is imperative for him to take the initiative, not only to accumulate the villainous merit, but also due to various external factors. Longhua is exceedingly secure, rendering certain factions incapable of thriving and evolving. If he truly desires to cultivate a formidable force that belongs solely to him, venturing abroad would be an ideal opportunity. Unencumbered by restrictions, he can operate according to his own will. A small nation, a lawless zone, where local armed forces and scattered mercenaries contribute to a state of chaos, is a place best avoided. The constant threat of gunfire makes it perilous. Should there be someone on his mind, merely provide a name, and he shall take care of it. When it comes to the act of killing, he is a professional. The blood-colored mandala casually remarked this before pulling Su Xiaoxiao into a discussion about culinary techniques. It seemed that in her mind, eliminating an elite from an organization abroad paled in comparison to the complexities of cooking. Qin Lang pressed his lips together, rhythmically tapping his fingers on the dining table. The number of capable individuals around him was still too few, especially with Junzi and the other bodyguards, who had become his trusted confidants. To put it plainly, he could no longer afford to send them to their demise at will. Although he is the arch-villain, it does not mean he lacks emotions. If one day, Junzi were to be eliminated, it would be a profound loss. As he stepped outside, he called out, Junzi, head to the garage and bring out my Maybach. Silence ensued. Reflecting on this, a sense of loneliness washed over him. If only he could recruit a legion of foreign mercenaries, perhaps even from nations with whom they had past grievances. Such resources would be both convenient and satisfying to utilize. The leader of the mysterious organization, he could only remain in his current position for so long. Once he resolves the lingering issues in Tianhai City, it would be time for a change of leadership. If Chun Fan's second sister were wise and recognized the futility of resistance, she might consider relinquishing her position voluntarily, which would pique his interest in retaining her as a playful counterpart. However, should she prove ungrateful, he would first subdue her and then eliminate her. Xiao Xiao, why haven't you added goji berries to the ribs? Qin Lang poured himself another bowl of soup, gazing at the pale broth. He reminded her, next time, do ensure I receive ample nourishment. Times have changed. Previously, you managed alone at home, but now, with an additional burden, you must double your efforts and energy replenishment. The goji berries at home have run out, and I'm unsure if you'll be at home, young master. I shall go buy some shortly and prepare soup for you tonight. Su Xiaoxiao blushed, casting a shy glance at the blood-colored mandala, letting out an embarrassed hum. Qin Lang waved his hand, indicating she should just be mindful next time, as he would not be dining at home tonight. He had pressing matters to attend to. A certain exquisite young lady, who could now maneuver her wheelchair with both hands and bend backwards gracefully, was likely struggling to contain her yearning at this very moment. Chapter 290. Immaculate Lin Shi, your young master. Are you heading out again soon? How long will you be gone? Is there anything you need me to prepare? Qin Lang spent little time in the villa, often engrossed in external affairs, rarely finding respite at home. Although Su Xiaoxiao harbored feelings of longing, she refrained from uttering superfluous words of entreaty. She wished not to burden the young master with unnecessary worries, suppressing her reluctance, and proactively assisting with preparations. Not for now, and you should also get ready, as you might need to accompany me on my outing. Qin Lang waved his hand dismissively, glancing towards the blood-colored mandala as a reminder. After all, she was among the top 3 assassins on the leaderboard and now held the esteemed position of its leader. Her capabilities were undeniable, making her well-suited for tasks requiring both manpower and skill. All right, I have little to prepare. Just a few handy weapons for self-defense will suffice. The blood-colored mandala replied nonchalantly. then grasped Su Xiaoxiao's hand, inquiring about the recipe for sweet and sour pork. In her previous life, accepting a mission to kill was often a decision made in an instant. She could be in one country and just a few hours later, flying to another. This lifestyle suited her more than anyone else. As Su Xiaoxiao spoke about culinary tips, her mind wandered to other matters, becoming somewhat dazed. Even after Qin Lang's departure, she merely responded with an "oh," showing little reaction. "Xiaoxiao, what are you thinking about?" The blood-colored mandala waved her hand in front of Su Xiaoxiao, pulling her back from her reverie. Observing the vacant main seat, she curiously asked, "Where has the young master gone?" "He's left, and here you are lost in thought, mumbling to yourself." "I couldn't make out a word." "It's because you didn't teach me earnestly that my cooking skills are progressing so slowly," the blood-colored mandala complained. Given her innate talent, she could effortlessly master even the most complex killing techniques. How could mere cooking truly challenge her? Her talent was evident, and her seriousness unquestionable. As for whether Su Xiaoxiao, her instructor, was indeed earnest, that remained uncertain. "Sister Blood, could you teach me martial arts?" Su Xiaoxiao asked, biting her lip, holding the blood-colored mandala's hand with an expression of earnest pleading. Unaware of the gravity of the request, the blood-colored mandala waved her hand dismissively, expressing disdain. "What would you do with martial arts? Follow me to commit murder? With your courage, you would need to cover your face with a cloth even to slaughter a fish brought home. If a living person was in front of you, would you dare stab them? You might as well stay at home and cook. I truly believe your skills are quite impressive, surpassing most of the restaurants we've dined in." She certainly did not believe that Su Xiaoxiao possessed such talent. Back on that isolated island, numerous selected elites were ruthless individuals. Yet what became of them? Either they perished at her hands or met their demise during mission execution. This line of work is exceedingly bloody and cruel. She had no desire for Su Xiaoxiao to step into this world. Su Xiaoxiao clutched the blood-red mandala with a pleading expression, yet she insisted, "I wish to stay by the young master's side, to assist him where he needs help. Just like you, blood sister. The young master is often away. If I could learn even a fraction of your skills, I could protect myself and remain by his side. You must wait for him to return and ask for himself. If he agrees, I shall teach you. If he does not, I have no wish to bear the brunt of non-existent wrath." Blood-red mandala shook her head. Some matters were not due to her unwillingness to teach, but rather because she discerned Su Xiaoxiao's standing in Qin Lang's heart was still significant, perhaps even more than her own. Otherwise, why wouldn't Qin Lang simply provide Su Xiaoxiao with a physical enhancement potion, consuming that would lead to immense power growth, especially with Qin Lang's own training? Wouldn't that create a formidable expert? On the other hand, the Lin family of three, having received attentive care at the Black Dragon Society's private hospital, had long since been discharged and returned home. In their modest abode, Lin Tianlin was in the kitchen preparing dumplings, his face dusted with a hint of flour. Zhao Mingyue stood beside him, laughing as she dampened her fingers to assist him. "Why are you in such a rush to make dumplings? Why not just buy some wrappers? Why the need to make them yourself?" "Overindulgence." Lin Tianlin shook his head. "What do you know, you housewife? This is a matter of intention. Knowing that young Master Qin is coming, I must prepare properly. Store-bought wrappers are from outside. Nothing is as clean and hygienic as what we make ourselves." Zhao Mingyue, feeling vexed, pointed an accusing finger at her husband, exclaiming, "Oh, now you think of me as just a housewife? Just a few days ago, when your life was hanging by a thread, you didn't dare speak this way. Do you still resent me for being a housewife? Do you think I lack insight? Had I known you thought this way, I would have taken Shi-Er and remarried. What nonsense! In my prime, I was the belle of the neighborhood, pursued by countless suitors. Moreover, my Shi-Er can stand now, such a beautiful young lady. Even without a partner, she could comfortably rely on her future son-in-law." Lin Tianlin quickly changed his tone, eager to apologize. He understood that his wife had a sharp tongue, but a tender heart. During his most vulnerable moments, she had never uttered such harsh words. Instead, she had cared for him, aging several years in the process. It was only recently that she had begun to regain her vitality. He could never bear to truly scold his wife. Even when reprimanded, he felt a strange delight. Just then, Lin Shi-Er descended the staircase, clad in a pristine white dress. Upon witnessing this, Lin Tianlin immediately raised his voice, arguing with Zhao Mingyue. "All you ever do is argue. You've even disturbed Shi-Er." "Oof," Lin Tianlin declared. "We have plenty of time to settle our scores." Zhao Mingyue shot an angry glare at her husband before swiftly supporting her daughter. She scrutinized Lin Shi-Er's delicate and fair little legs and chided, "Shi-Er, why are you causing such a ruckus? What kind of weather is this? Dressing like that. Aren't you afraid of getting frostbitten? Lin Shi'er pouted, her charming face radiating an inexplicable joy. But I want Qin Gidge to see my legs. Chapter 291, Uncle and Aunt. Won't he be upset? Ah, this daughter. Zhao Mingyue glanced back at her husband, both sharing a knowing look. Their daughter was truly beyond salvation. She had become utterly infatuated with young Master Qin. Just moments ago, she had been gloomy, unable to eat. Her haggard appearance was heart-wrenching. Yet, the moment young Master Qin's call came through, expressing his desire to visit, their daughter, who had been weeping daily, transformed in the blink of an eye, nearly exhausting her mother-esque cosmetics in an effort to conceal her red-rimmed eyes and slightly affected complexion. Mom, do you think this matches? Lin Elfia pondered, gazing at her legs with a furrowed brow. Zhao Mingyue rolled her eyes exasperatedly. What do you mean by matches? It's freezing outside, and you're dressed like this. Aren't you afraid of getting sick? Especially those legs, which the old doctor painstakingly healed. If you freeze them and develop issues. Are you planning to have young Master Qin kneel outside for 3 days and nights again? I want tea. Lin Xia firmly shook her head, turning to slowly ascend the stairs. I'm going to put on more clothes and add a pair of white stockings. Wow, is that what you learned? Only after their daughter had gone upstairs did Lin Tianlin glance at his wife, blinking. Zhao Mingyue, still irritated, rolled her eyes. What do you mean I taught her? Am I that kind of person? Besides, do you think young Master Qin is like a rough-and-tumble type, preferring such styles? You might find it quite lacking in taste for a girl to wear white stockings. I must observe closely. If young Master Qin doesn't like it, I'll help Shi'er buy a few sets of black stockings. Though she said later, they were busy until evening. When Qin Lang's voice finally echoed in the vicinity of the snack street, his complexion appeared significantly pale, and his gait was slightly unsteady. Young Master Qin, Lin Elfia, who had been eagerly waiting at the entrance, immediately dashed toward Qin Lang upon spotting him. Her pace was slow, almost leisurely, yet for Lin Shi'er, who had only recently regained the ability to stand on her legs, this was no small feat. Lin Tianlin and Zhao Mingyue, observing from behind, felt their hearts race with trepidation. With a firm goal in sight, Lin Shi'er was fearless, casting aside any worries of falling. All she wished for was to rush into young Master Qin's embrace. In a brief stretch of road, Lin Shi'er sprinted for nearly half a minute, throwing herself into the warm embrace of Brother Qin, desperately clinging to his neck and suspending herself like a koala. Oh, Shi'er, is this your boyfriend? Quite impressive. A match made in heaven. I was planning to introduce my nephew to you, but it seems you found such a handsome one on your own. Truly a perfect pair. This child, Shi'er, has endured much hardship in her first 20 years. Despite her striking beauty, she was unable to walk. Now, however, that troublesome ailment has finally been cured, and as she jogged along, even I, an old woman, could hardly keep up. Ha ha ha. Oh, this little girl. The more we tease her, the more spirited she becomes, holding on so tightly. A crowd of familiar neighbors, having watched Lin Shi'er grow up, couldn't help but jest as they witnessed her rush into a man's embrace. Grandpa Jean, Grandma Li, Uncle Juan, you all just love to tease me. Lin Shi'er shyly poked her head out, calling out to the elders one by one, showing no intention of releasing Qin Lang. These elders had seen Lin Shi'er grow up, well aware of her shy nature, often too timid to speak to strangers. Now, to see her so close to Qin Lang in front of so many people, it was evident how much she valued him. After exchanging a few playful jests, the elders allowed Lin Shi'er to depart. You can walk now? Qin Lang scrutinized Lin Shi'er's legs, squatting down to gently squeeze her calf for a test. Lin Shi'er blushed deeply, softly responding with a hesitant, Brother Qin, why don't we head home first? People are watching us on the way back, and I'll take care of you when we get there. Qin Lang grasped Lin Shi'er's small hand, walking slowly towards the transformed Lin family noodle shop. At the entrance, Lin Tianlin greeted them warmly, young Master Qin. The dumplings we made at home are ready, just waiting for you to drop them into the pot. How about you and Shi'er go upstairs for a chat? Once the dumplings are done, I'll call you down to eat. To be honest, Lin Tianlin felt immense gratitude in his heart, but when facing Qin Lang, an unsettling feeling lingered within him. Qin Lang smiled, saying, then I won't disturb you, uncle and aunt. And please, no need to call me young Master Qin from now on. You know my intentions, just call me Xiao Qin. Otherwise, outsiders might think I lack manners. Xiao Qin, I'll go cut some fruit for you. Zhao Mingyue chuckled, changing her address, her heart bubbling with uncontainable joy. Who is Qin Lang? Although she didn't know him well yet, it was clear he was someone of great significance. Even the prominent figures of Tianhai City must tread carefully in that private hospital. Yet, a mere display of Qin Lang's displeasure could make the hospital director tremble. Such a distinguished young master, so humble and unpretentious, truly remarkable. Even Zhao Mingyue, who has always prided herself on her discerning eye, could find no fault. Mom, I'll take Brother Qin upstairs first. Lin Sierra, filled with impatience and a multitude of words yearning to escape her lips, hurriedly pushed her parents aside, clutching Qin Lang's arm and pulling him upstairs. Once inside the room, she swiftly shut the door, intending to sit beside Qin Lang on the bed for a heart-to-heart conversation. However, fate had other plans. She stumbled and inadvertently pushed Qin Lang onto the bed, landing clumsily on top of him, her rosy lips brushing against his cheek. Brother Qin, Lin Sierra quickly supported herself on his chest, her cheeks flushed with embarrassment, eager to explain. It was truly accidental. She must have stepped on something that caused this unfortunate tumble and the subsequent kiss. Yet, Qin Lang glanced around, particularly fixating on the door, and after a brief pause, he hesitantly spoke. Sir, if uncle and aunt find out about this, do you think they will be upset? Chapter 292. Everything in the Lin family is under control. An hour later, the Lin family of three, along with Qin Lang, sat around the table, where steaming dried dumplings were placed in the center. Sierra, it's not that I'm criticizing you, Zhao Mingyue said playfully, eyeing her daughter. Little Qin has just started to recover, and I know you're elated, but you should pull him into your room the moment he arrives. Look at you. Your face is as red as a little apple. As a mother-in-law observing her son-in-law, she grew increasingly pleased. Aware of Qin Xian's recent health issues, she couldn't bear the thought of her daughter being reckless. If anything were to happen to Qin Xian, there would be no place for regrets. Mom. Lin Sierra stomped her feet beneath the table, covering her mouth at a loss for words. I didn't yet. Seeing her mother-esque concern for Brother Qin filled her with an indescribable joy. This approval would surely make Qin Lang feel welcomed in her family. Perhaps he would visit her more often in the future? Zhao Mingyue rolled her eyes dramatically, saying, I tell you a few things, and you're already unhappy. Turning to Qin Lang, she added with an awkward smile, Little Qin, it's not that I'm boasting about my daughter, but since she was little, she has always been shy, except when it comes to you. This child is straightforward. Once she sets her heart on someone, no one can change her mind. She genuinely likes you, and I hope you don't misunderstand that Sierra is a frivolous girl. Qin Lang nodded, replying, Aunt, I understand what kind of girl Sierra is. I'll let my thoughts wander. He was well aware of the stature of a girl blessed by fortune, pure and untainted. Now let us eat dumplings. Your uncle specially helped make the dough and wrap these dumplings, Zhao Mingyue said while serving Qin Lang. She sighed softly. Your uncle might not say much, but he has always cared for your well-being. In the past, during heartfelt conversations at home, he would sternly declare that anyone who dared to snatch his daughter would face dire consequences, perhaps even a beating with a belt. Yet now, upon arriving at your place and learning about your affair, he remains silent and even expresses disdain for the dumpling skins available on the market, insisting on rolling them out himself. You certainly have a penchant for chatter. Can't you even pause your incessant talking while enjoying dumplings? Lin Tianlin jabbed a dumpling with his chopsticks and shoved it into Zhao Mingyue's mouth, reprimanding her with a fierce demeanor, exuding a masculine bravado. Within the confines of home, particularly in front of Qin Xian, he felt compelled to maintain an imposing presence. After all, what would it mean for a grown man to lose face? However, upon meeting Zhao Mingyue's fiery gaze, he wilted, lowering his head, too intimidated to meet her eyes. The meal was filled with lively chatter, as Zhao Mingyue deliberately sought topics of conversation, gradually coaxing the reticent Lin Tianlin to join in. The entire family was enveloped in a warm atmosphere, particularly precious after the recent calamities they had endured, making their joy all the more invaluable. It wasn't until late that Qin Lang departed from the Lin residence, without any pretense of taking Lin Sierra out for a stroll. Some matters, it seems, are destined. Can a cooked duck still fly away? There is no need to rush. One cannot hastily consume hot tofu. Chapter 293. The whereabouts of Lin Yuchu and Mu Yuyan. Upon returning to the villa, it was already past 10 o'clock. After spending nearly 2 hours soothing Su Xiaoxiao to sleep, Qin Lang finally made his way to the living room. He sat on the sofa, observing the quietly awaiting Junzi, and calmly inquired about recent developments. Junzi cleared his throat, deliberately lowering his voice. Young master, after receiving your orders, I immediately dispatched Lao Huang and a group of brothers to that country. They have been waiting there for 3 days now and have already secured a small area, which is now under Lao Huang's control. However, According to the latest intelligence gathered by Lao Huang and his team, the situation there seems to be less chaotic than rumored. There is some semblance of order, albeit maintained by ordinary citizens and a few weaker factions. Yet, when it comes to the entrenched major powers, incidents of daylight shootings have not been uncommon, occurring with alarming frequency. Which faction specifically? Qin Lang inquired with a calm demeanor. In the original narrative, the location of the hidden kill headquarters was merely mentioned in passing as a lawless zone, known only for the formidable presence of hidden kill without detailed exposition. Qin Lang's aim was to cultivate a force uniquely his own in that region, facilitating future strategic planning. It was imperative to gather as much information as possible. Junzi shook his head. Lao Huang and his team have just arrived and have yet to establish a firm foothold, so more detailed information is still being sought. However, there is one matter the young master must be made aware of. President Mu and the young lady from the Lin family seem to be in that lawless zone as well. This was specifically emphasized by Lao Huang. What? Qin Lang was perplexed, his brow furrowed. How on earth did those two end up there? Goodness. How could Mu Yuyin and Lin Yuchu be entangled with that lawless little nation? This was a blatant deviation from the script that Yi Feng was supposed to follow. Could it be that by altering Yi Feng's fate, he inadvertently triggered a series of unforeseen developments? He needed to book a flight. He would leave tomorrow. Qin Lang was too weary to inquire further. The specifics could wait until he arrived. That small nation was situated at the intersection of several countries. Although it had some armed forces, they lacked credibility and recognition. The internal chaos was overwhelming. It was inconceivable for two stunning beauties from the Dragon Nation, like Mu Yuyin and Lin Yuchu, to stroll the streets without attracting attention. He could not afford to wait any longer. The next day, in the kingdom of Kalen, the morning sun filtered through the hotel window, casting its warm glow upon the soft bedding. Lin Yuchu's eyelids fluttered. She rubbed her drowsy eyes, yawned, and turned over, draping her fair arm over Mu Yuyin's shoulder. Yuyin, I crave some soy milk. Could you go downstairs and buy some for me? Mu Yuyin disdainfully shrugged off the arm resting on her, retorting, what soy milk? This isn't the Dragon Nation. We're in Kalen. Where would you even find soy milk here? All right. Lin Yuchu mumbled sleepily, rubbing her eyes and gazing out at the rows of buildings resembling tube-style apartments. She grimaced, clearly displeased, and pinched Mu Yuyin's waist indignantly. You've really put me in a terrible position. Instead of staying in our beautiful Dragon Nation, we come to this godforsaken place. What's the deal with that business you promised? It's been 2 days and we haven't even seen a soul. Thankfully, I had the foresight to bring a large entourage of bodyguards. Otherwise, considering the security here, we might have been completely devoured by those ruffians on the street, with no recourse for justice. Regarding the factory, my friend is already in contact with the local authorities. Although the economic development here is lacking, wages are low, and land is incredibly cheap. There's no comparison to the Dragon Nation. If negotiations go well, we could potentially establish a massive factory here, employing the local populace and saving a significant amount of funds annually in labor costs. Mu Yiyan explained earnestly. Moreover, our beauty pill formula is top secret. Producing a portion of it here and then transporting it back home for further processing would ensure double layers of confidentiality, along with stringent controls to guarantee absolute security. Lin Yuchu scoffed. I trust you as far as I can throw you. If that were the case, why not set up shop in another small nation? At least those places are safer, unlike here, where I've heard they don't even have a proper armed force. Can we drop the pretense? Who are we kidding? We've been best friends since childhood, sharing everything, including our lives with the same man now. From here on, our shared possessions will be endless. Could you please close your mouth? Is it not uncomfortable for you to keep bringing this up? Mu Yiyan rolled her eyes, clearly irked. If you're unwilling to stay here, you're free to leave. I never asked you to accompany me, did I? It was your own decision to linger around my company, insisting on flying here with me. Yiyan, can we clarify our relationship a bit more? Does it have anything to do with Qin Lang? Lin Yuchu blinked innocently. Mu Yuyin sighed bitterly. I truly wonder what your nose is made of. For where you have picked this up. Yes, I admit it. Last time, I inadvertently overheard Qin Lang's conversation. He mentioned that he intends to come here to develop his own influence, planning to establish this place as his base of power. Really? Lin Yuchu's eyes sparkled with excitement. Does that mean Qin Lang will be arriving here soon? And that he will stay for a considerable time? Mu Yuyin nodded in tacit agreement. Lin Yuchu smacked her lips, pinching her delicate chin, her beautiful eyes narrowing. In that case, when Qin Lang arrives, let's divide things this way. Even numbers for you, odd numbers for me, 2, 4, 6 for you, and 1, 3, 5, 7 for me. How does that sound? Chapter 294. Encountering Danger. The fate of the Fortune's daughter Mu Yin's expression turned serious as she scrutinized Lin Yuchu with a gaze that revealed an unmistakable disdain. Truly, this look of aversion was one Lin Yuchu had seen countless times on her dear friend, who had grown up donning stockings. Yet even so, it sent a shiver down her spine. How to put it? In front of this friend, despite being slightly older, she had always felt her status suppressed. To this day, there had been no change in that dynamic. As she pondered, ready to explain herself, Mu Yin preempted her. How shameless of you.